recording. There we go. Let's just check to see how the lag is. Well, seems okay to me. Okay, so let's get started. So today we are making winter settlements with the Watercolor Cities style. And I've just used your basic landscape format or layout or aspect ratio because it's just easiest to work with, looks good in thumbnails, and it's easier to, it looks good in the thumbnails as well. So kind of a pro tip, when you notice that you make maps with awkward aspect ratios, you'll notice that your thumbnail doesn't capture the whole thing. So keeping it into the landscape format will always make sure that the entire map will be visible in the thumbnail. And that's extremely useful for those of you who are private contractors and you want to show off your maps to people so that you can get clients. So that's super important. Another thing about that real quick is make sure you save the map in 3 or 4K once you finish it, because the thumbnail, not the small little thumbnail, but when you click it, the thumbnail and it goes to full screen, that will be in 3 or 4 HD. So whatever resolution you save it in, that will be the background, or it will be the resolution that the thumbnail is at. So it's super important if you want your maps to look like they're in HD detail, and that way when people look at it, they're like, ooh, ah. Okay. So here was my plan for those of you who just walked in for this winter settlements, was to create a frozen waterfall and then to build a city that climbs up the waterfall and then goes up onto an island and a series of bridges. And as you can see in the left top corner, you'll see the checklist. And we're going to go through that checklist: layout, sketch, landscape, main POI. If you don't know what POI, that's point of interest. Districts, details, light and shadow, and last but not least, filters, because filters really do a lot for you. So definitely use them. This has been grouped. I'm going to name it. Whenever you create a group, I always recommend that you name it. So I'm just going to call this checklist. And that way it's there, because on the right panel, you might come up with maybe 30 or 40 different groups and you don't know what's what, right? So it's always helpful to be sure to name it. And I'm going to lock it too, so I don't accidentally select it. Locking is important. If you have a lot of things that are locked, you can just click this unlock button, because sometimes you have a huge object list and you don't want to go through the list to find all the objects or all the items that are locked. So this unlock button that pops up, that will unlock everything. It's extremely useful. Just know that you have to go back and lock everything again manually. And you don't have to do it by just clicking with the select tool. You can also just search for it in the object search field up here at the top. That's much quicker, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. As always, I like to use the path tool when it loads and create a kind of sketch. Whenever you put a path down, make sure that you're about to edit a path, put one down first. This way, when you're editing it live, you can see what it looks like. So I know what it looks like. Change the opacity, bring the width a little bit more up, and I'm going to get rid of that shadow. And I'm just going to create a very, very simple sketch, like a wireframe. Don't worry about making a complex drawing. That's not going to be helpful to you. But first, we obviously want to create the point in which the waterfall is. So maybe like a ridge, like this. And we can change that as we see fit. So this is going to be the ridge where the waterfall is. Let's bring it down a little bit. Or in the middle is about right, because we want to show cascading waterfalls going down, popping out a little bit so that you can see them. And those are also going to be platforms. And remember, the water is frozen, so we don't have to worry about it damaging anything or getting things wet. Everything is really, really frozen up. So that's super nice. So this is that main spot. Next you want to do, oops, I think I have my touchscreen option on. There we go. That is explaining why I'm doing random stuff. So you're going to have to figure out where the waterfall is exactly. And so with waterfalls, I like to place 2 rocks. So a big one here and a big one here. So this right here is not going to be waterfall. This right here, let me delete this. This will not be waterfall. And this will not be waterfall. Only this section right here will be the waterfall in between those 2 rocks. And I also want them to cascade. So, and I want an island as well. So let's just say that there's an island like this going out. Okay. And then let's just say that the river is going like this. And we'll add a little bit of curvature in there. All right. And the water's obviously flowing this way. Make sure you understand the flow. And then these parts right here are going to be where the waterfalls are obviously going to be at, because this island is popping out a bit. so it's less. And then we're also going to put in a couple little things that are popping out like this, where we're going to put some like little districts or something. Someone's audio is turned on. We'll want to turn that off. So these are the platforms coming out, and we're going to put locations here, 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 and on top of this large island, and then maybe put an access point with like a bridge here. And then we can even put in a smaller island over here just for fun, and then put a bridge that goes across to there. And then we maybe want to portray that the island is not just flat, it has some height to it. So what we can do is create this sense of height by saying, here's one level and then another level up top like this. And that's where our main POI can be right here. That's where our main POI is going to be. So that looks pretty good in my eyes. I think overall this is good. Down here at the bottom, we can put forests. Probably we can put forest all in here. We'll make it a kind of a pool at the bottom. And all this stuff right here will be forest in here. Sorry, my screen is loading slowly. All this will be forest in here, and this can be the pool down here. Okay. So now I can go ahead and select all paths. You should just be able to go to select. So if I just select one path, click the hamburger menu, select all paths, group, and then rename sketch. If I know how to spell properly, I'm going to lock it. And now it will have, now that it's its own group, you can change the whole opacity of the group. Bring it down like this. I don't want it to be so large to the point where, or so bright that it kind of is distracting. So it's just a light sketch in the background. Okay, and now everything should be set to the BG layer. So if I was to add something, you'll notice that with the, you'll have the add mode of the mask tool. Okay, I'm going to undo that. And we're going to use the add mode of the mask tool, and we're going to fill up the entire screen. Quick fill is easy. Just click that rectangular shape like this. Go all the way across. Let's go down a bit more. Press enter. And the whole screen should be covered. Just bear with me on the lag. Going to be getting a new computer and new software and everything so that these streams will be a little bit more smoother. So let's create the water part, and I'm going to use the mask tool. You can just press the M key or press the shovel bucket, click circle, and click subtract. And yeah, I have my little guide right here, so I'm just going to go across like this, and we'll create this part. And I'm just going to create the whole river part. I'm not going to worry about that island yet. We'll get to there in a minute. Okay, and I'm just going to do the outline part of it for now. Okay, awesome. Excited about waterfalls. Cool. Let's go ahead and check chat real quick. Make sure people don't need any help or anything. How was I never noticed that button? Good one. Okay. Whew. Oh my goodness. This is frustrating. Do I have my thing off? Touch off? Okay. Wonder why my screen is just acting like a butt. Maybe I need to edit in 2K until I get that new equipment. Okay, I hope that's done. There we go. Okay, cool. Hopefully you can't hear those giant lawnmowers. Okay. Now I can just go ahead and take a much larger brush and then fill or take out like this. And then we're obviously going to want to choose a color that we want or a texture that we want for the water to be. And the reason why I haven't done the island yet is because when I make an island, oh, this is Fantasy Battle Maps too. Oopsie, not Watercolor Cities. Oops, I just kind of used the wrong one. My bad. That's okay. All right. There we go. I'm gonna have to obviously change the textures because I made a big boo-boo and made the whole thing Fantasy Battle Maps. It's like a go-to. Maybe it's like a just a habit. Okay. So now you filled in all that, and then I'm gonna make sure that I go over to the proper textures and everything. So open up a catalog, press that F key, custom, and I'm in the wrong pack because I'm just really smart like that. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the art to load. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and pick the proper textures. My mistake. And again, you can just fill the whole screen. Brush tool works the same way. Mask tool, rectangle. Select all. Let's go over to texture again. Switch BG, just press that 2 key. 1 key is to go to the FG. Go back into that catalog, and then we're going to pick a water texture. And there's winter textures here, so let's the snow pane. Let's look at if we have any good ice. Light ice. Let's just start with this one for now. Make sure it's set to BG. Press enter. This whole thing will be covered. Perfect. Okay. Go, and I think I also want to turn off all the mask effects. So advanced settings, just turn all the mask effects off. We're going to play with those kind of later. And I did notice that my sketch has disappeared more inside of that bright texture. So I'm just going to select the sketch and then bring that opacity back up again so I can kind of see it better. There we go. I can see it, and we're going to make the island. Go back to the add mode. Circle brush, so that way so you have oopsie, not that one, circle brush right here. All right, and we're going to make the main island here. And if you have any questions, let me know. Also, for those of you who watch YouTube, we're thinking next month of having a stream that's just a general FAQ or editor FAQ. And it's going to be on YouTube. So if people have questions about the editor, about tools, about exports, that stream will be perfect for you to ask all these questions, and I will answer them. If you do have questions, please limit them to just the editor. We don't want questions about like your account information, setting up your subscription, bugs, all those things you can just leave for customer support, just as a heads up. But I am looking forward to the editor FAQ. We can answer a lot of questions that people might have, and it will be recorded, of course, so you don't have to be there to see it. Because I'm sure people have lots of questions. Even if they hold their tongue, there's still lots of questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? Okay. And actually, I kind of made a mistake here. Normally, I prefer not to do this part. I prefer to add the cliffs on first, but that's okay. We'll just subtract whatever doesn't fit. So we finished that sketch part. That sketch part is done. So this is out. That's done, nice. And then the next one is going to be landscape, which we're currently working on. Okay, let's take a look. All right, let's go ahead and take those cliffs, and we're going to line this. Anything that sticks out, we can just go ahead and subtract. It's not a big deal. Okay. Let's keep going. All right, let's go into the catalog. And of course, remember, I kind of goofed up. So we'll open up the catalog and we'll go over to Watercolor Cities. Wish I had started it in Watercolor Cities. That's my bad, but it happens. Okay, just give things a moment to load. Okay, so here it is right here. We're going to look over our cliffs. Normally in the catalog, I like to expand all because I like to see what I'm working with. It's just my personal preference. And we're going to go look over cliffs. And actually, I think you should be able to go straight to the winter pack. Let's just click winter, because this is the pack that I'm going to be showcasing and showing to everybody, so you're going to see what you're working with. Some beautiful stamps. Look at this. It's just basically a lot of the regular stuff with snow on it, so it's really nice, including some of that castle stuff. Nice stairs with snow, igloos, lots of goodies here. So there's a lot to work with, and I'm probably going to choose maybe a snowy cliff. Might look good. If this is an island, then maybe we want to show lots of depth. So do we want this really tall, snowy cliff maybe? Give it a second here. And this is that part where it's a little kind of slow. It's kind of piecing things together, unfortunately, but it works. So I'm going to just put one down, and then if you click Alt and your scroll wheel, and I think also it might be Command, I'm not sure, because I'm using a Windows, a PC, Bluetooth keyboard with a Mac computer, so my directions might be off. If you don't know the shortcut keys, you just go click shortcuts right here in the corner, and all the shortcuts will pop up. Next from the set, yeah, it looks like Command or Alt. So yes, absolutely. And don't forget to use your scroll wheel. That way you can quickly scroll through. I'm just going to scroll through each one and try to find the pieces that I want. Rotate, just kind of rotate. We already have that piece. Don't want those end pieces. Nope. Just going to go through the ones that I want and don't want. I'm looking for kind of a curved piece like this right here. Looks kind of good. And I think I might put it out here too. So there's this nice, this is the part that's like hanging over the waterfall. And I think that would be kind of nice, having this nice rock jutting out. And I'll probably do the same thing if I can find another one that's good. Let's just use this one right here. And then we're gonna have to find some kind of piece that's gonna connect with that. Let me just look at our options here. This is kind of a tough one. I might have to use this one again because there's not a lot of actual options with that cliff set. My mistake. No, that doesn't look good. And feel free to ask any suggestions if you have any. I'm all ears. Okay, let's just connect these. Oopsie. It's okay if it strays out a little bit. We'll fill in that section. I just want to make sure that this cliff is right here, and we'll go up one. And this could even be a platform below if we wanted to, and then we can put some cliffs on here, so make it look more natural. So like I could take this cliff right here, connect it. There we go. It gives it kind of a more natural feel to it. Let's just keep going. We're gonna ring the whole island. Okay, this one. And again, we'll go with that mask tool, and we'll fill in and remove any excess parts we don't want showing. Okay, just keep going. I understand this is a tedious part, so bear with me. Okay, where's that sharp one? I like that one, might do good. Ooh, I think this one will do fine. There we go. Want to make it large enough, the island large enough, so I can put large POIs in some small districts, and then other districts will be down on these platforms down here, and we'll get to that in a bit. Let's just first piece together the main island, as you would expect, and then we can move on to the waterfall bit as well and add in some rocks. And I am doing a stream on how to create waterfalls. I think I did do an image guide on how to do that, and I'll do a full-on tutorial probably next month on how to do that, because I think that would be really useful, just in my opinion. So now you have all the spots that we kind of missed. You just have to fill that in with the add mode of the mask tool. Make sure the brush isn't too big. So just fill in this part, fill it in. And normally I would actually do the stamps first. It was my mistake for doing the add mode first. I don't recommend doing that. Do first the cliffs, make your formations with your cliffs, and then fill it in with the add mode. And that way you can paint this land separately without accidentally bleeding over into your frozen river, of course. You don't want to do that. Let's go to subtract. Oopsie, change that brush size. Don't want it there. And we'll keep filling that in, and we'll work on the next section. I'll show you how to do the waterfall part, and it's going to be frozen, don't forget. So we'll figure out how to do that. Oop, and I missed a section here. This part's kind of the fun part, filling in everything. This looks good to me. All right, looks good so far. And everything's going to be frozen, so we don't need, this doesn't have to be green. I'm just putting it in here for now because I don't want my background and my FG layers to be of a similar texture, because then I'll be confused between the two. So just keeping the land green for now will make the land pop out and easier to work with. And then once I've added the stamps, I'll figure on adding other textures. So like with these snow scenes, I've noticed with winter settlements is that the white kind of bleaches everything, and it makes it look kind of monochromatic. And so we'll try to add in some filters that remove that monochromatic look to it. I know there would be a lot of white in a snow scene, but the truth is you don't want it to be so monochromatic that it doesn't look interesting in your thumbnail. That won't look good. You want people to look at it. That's the big thing. You want people to look at it. Okay. Oh, I love the waterfall one. Awesome. I'm really glad that you liked that waterfall guide. I really enjoyed making that, and I think, just my opinion, but I think some people might struggle with waterfalls. Just making them look natural is kind of difficult. At least I think it is. It's hard to do that. Let's go back into that catalog. Oh, I'm at 108 changes, so let's just do that. And I think I'm also going to refresh the page to see if maybe something is causing some lag. So I'll refresh, save. Don't mind me if I slurp down some kombucha. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to refresh the page as well real quick. Maybe that will speed things up, I hope. Yeah, if you have other suggestions for image guides, let me know. I have a couple more that I want to make. Campsites, how to create wizard towers, this kind of stuff. I'm really excited about that. Just give me a second for the thing to load. Also, if you don't know, we included a tutorial and guide channel in general. For right now, it's just for moderators to post in, but it's basically going to be a channel where you can look for guides, tutorials, stuff like that. Those guides obviously need to be vetted, so just send any guides or tutorials, whatever that you might have, send them to me or to admin. We'll review, vet them, and then we'll go ahead and put them in that channel. And this way, you mentors who are here, you'll be able to find a place where you can easily reference guide material without having to go for hours going through all those posts to try to find the thing you're looking for. That's ridiculously annoying, and we don't want to do that to our mentors and our moderators. Not cool. All right, so I got to go back and do this whole Watercolor City thing again. I will not make that mistake again. Well, maybe I will. We'll see. Okay, Watercolor Cities. And what I want to do is look up kind of some large rocks. So with a waterfall, and it doesn't matter whether it's frozen or not, large rocks, at least the way I like to have them, it makes it look really natural. So usually a waterfall is like a giant rock shelf, and there's usually rocks lining the side where the waterfall goes down on the side right here. So if you have large rocks, or if you want to piece together some, just using these things as well, I like to do that. The rocks in the Watercolor City style are a little small, so the big ones are, so it might not work for that, but I can piece together my own. And we'll create our own kind of large rock formations. I'm just going to put it together like this, and then I'm going to select them all, group it. You just press that G key, it should group it. And then you, again, don't forget to name it, and we're just going to call it rock formation. My all in caps, my typical all in caps error that I love to do. It's all in the caps. I love doing that. That's great. Okay, and then we have to look at where our fall line is, where the waterfall is going to be falling, and you don't have to follow the guide perfectly. Just make sure that you connect it between the land formation. So right here, and then the waterfall would go all the way to this point right here. And if I put another rock formation over here, it would travel all the way to this rock point. Oh, and if you want, you can copy and paste this one and just rotate it so it looks a little different as a group, not edited, obviously, my mistake. Ooh, and I see my error too. I accidentally selected them and made them one thing. My bad. Super smart. Just super smart like that. I want it to be separate. Sometimes you don't know when you're in a group, so copy, paste. I'm sure people have done that before. Oh, I'm in a group, my bad. Oh, I love when I do that. It's like, yes, epic fail. And just put them out, jut them out a little bit. I'm gonna have them jut out just a hair, and then fill that in with the add mode, and then we'll do our water parts. And unlike a real waterfall, this waterfall is going to be frozen, so we're not looking for the effect of water and mist like we would with a regular waterfall. What we're aiming for here is to try to make it look frozen. And we'll try to figure out how to do that. That looks good. That looks good. And you know, I think I can probably delete the sketch now. I think I have a general idea of what's going on, so let's click that sketch and just delete it. You can just select it and just press the delete key and it should delete it. You can do it. Come on. Or maybe it just doesn't want to delete. Oh my goodness. Maybe it's because it's locked. One second. Let me try again. Is my keyboard not working? Oh my goodness. Wow. There we go. Got it. Looks like it doesn't delete in here. That might be a bug. You can select it with the select tool. Okay, that's definitely a bug. We'll figure out how to fix that. Okay, let's go ahead and create the points to the water, and then we'll continue on the island. I'm just going to go ahead and check chat, make sure there's no questions so far. Chat 1. How to make boss throne room. Oh, that's on the to-do list. You know, maybe even add that in next month instead of the other stuff that I have. So I'm excited about that. And Cheryl, after the stream, I will be sure to, or after my lunch, I'll be sure to add in as many guides as possible, including some other ones as well. And if anyone here has guides, just send them to me. We'll vet them and we'll throw them in that channel because guides are helpful. Let's also group this island right here. Group, and then we're going to call it island. Or really River Island, but just call it island for now. Okay, and then we want to go back into that catalog. So O key, F key, and just type in water. Okay, so there are a ton of waterfall options. There's this one, which I actually don't know if I care for these ones. We could go with something different. These don't, they don't look frozen. They look a little, that color, we could drop the saturation a bit. So if we go over to the HSBC filters, type saturation, and it will make it gray or remove all that color so there's no blue there. You can increase the brightness so that it looks like it's a little more frozen. And we don't want it completely saturated. Keep some blue in it and maybe even drop some of the contrast. And I'm going to check and see what layer these are on. What I want is to make sure that these falls are below, not above, because the rocks are higher up than the water is. So do that. Did someone say something? Question anybody? Nope. Okay. All right. How to make a boss throne room. Heck yeah, I can't wait to make that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. Trust me, I'm excited about that. Okay, let's zoom in, get in close, and we're going to piece a bunch of these together just to see how they look. And if they don't look good, well, actually, I don't think this will work. I'm looking at it already, and this stuff right here, the foam, technically, there wouldn't be any foam unless it was done supernaturally, like some evil frost, Witcher style. White frost came in and just froze it literally mid-action. So I'm not sure if we want to do that or not. If people think it looks okay, I will keep it. For now, maybe we can just see what it looks like and we can add into the lore that this town was taken by some evil frost or something. Witcher style. Okay, let's just go scroll through the different ones that we have, each one. And I want to rotate it so there's some slight curve to it. I like a little bit of curve. We don't want a perfectly straight line. Honestly, I don't think a perfectly straight line looks very good for a waterfall. It looks a little better when there's some curve to it. There's a thin one. Let's just go back through the major ones again. Oh, I could have used those larger ones. Silly me. Okay, let's add in one more. Maybe that smaller one right here. Okay, let's take a look at it. I don't want to make sure that line isn't perfectly straight. And I also have to factor in that it's going to have to mesh in with the texture below. We'll worry about trying to put that together later. If I do that now, then it will just take up more time. So let's just quickly try to get that outline, the layout, the sketch part, the whole landscape part done first. I'm going to select all these waterfalls, go into that right panel, or select option in the hamburger menu, select all from the set, and just copy and paste like that. So you have to work with. And you can just change things around if you want, move it around, delete some stuff. So that way it doesn't look exactly like the waterfall, like the other one. And I think I will make sure it's nice and curved. I'm going to select all these, curve this a little bit as well. There we go. And then we'll go back to those larger ones. I think I saw some wider ones. There we go. And that should close the gap a little bit quicker. And then one more, and I'll make sure to rotate it. And then we're going to come back and address these falls. These don't look good to me. They don't look right. That's okay. We'll get to fixing that. Let's just finish up more of the landscape. I'm going to use these same cliffs. And because the cliffs are a little bit farther down, you would think that you would drop the scale. So I don't want them to be at 100% like these cliffs are. I want them to be smaller because we're representing height. So maybe we can drop it down to 50 and see how big it is. Okay, that looks okay. We could even maybe bring it to 75. And the farther down you go, the smaller those cliffs are going to be, right? So let's just put this one at 75. Maybe the next one could be 50. And we'll follow that formula, 25% to the one after that. And make sure that it's below. This is above. It's below. Let me see what this is at. This is at layer 1. This is at layer 0. Perfect. Okay. Let's make that small platform. Let's bring it down even more. I want it to be, it's going to be above the waves or above that. I think it's okay. Let's just rotate and look for some ones that are curved because that will look nice. And I'm also going to drop the brightness because I want to portray some depth. So let's just say that the light is coming from up here. So then there's going to be a big shadow cast down here. So let's drop that brightness. And it's something that I also do to create depth because the farther down it goes darker, the higher up, more exposed to the light, the brighter the stamps become. That's just one method that I do it. It's not the only way. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Let's put one in here too, like this. So that's that first tier, and we'll make sure to fill it in with that add mode of the mask tool. Oops, not with the edgy brush, with the circle brush. With the edgy brush, it's probably going to go off a little bit and look weird. Let's go back, punch this in, 50%. There we go. A little bit smaller. So this is another tier farther down. And let's go down a layer or two. So it's below that. We'll put one here, and then let's put one here like, let's say like this. Okay. And let's don't forget to fill that in. I'm at 73 changes. Okay, so far I'm going to zoom out and just take a look. So just click that fit to screen option. Okay, and if you don't know how to zoom in and out without using the fit screen or this thing, just use your mouse scroll wheel. And if you want to pan, hold down spacebar to pan. These things are really, really helpful. Shortcut keys are really going to speed up your process. So just keep that in mind. That's really helpful. All right, that looks good. This looks good. Let's finish off the island part. So go back to island. I'm going to open up the island. All the stamps are at layer 2. That's okay. Let's put it at 100%. And let's create a large section like right here. This is where our main POI is. And I could have it to where it's literally on the complete edge like this. So let's bring it up some layers so it's above. There we go. And let's find the right stamps that we want to use. Hold on one second. I think that one looks okay. And we're going to want to think about staircases. Flow of traffic is super important. So kind of think those in mind. Okay, so this is that top tier right here. This is like the highest point right here. And we can even make some smaller ones going down farther down. So let's go back to 75%. That looks a little too big. Let's maybe go with 60%. That looks good. And we're going to put a layer below this so that it looks like it's farther down. And we're going to drop, of course, the brightness down just a bit like this. And then this can be like another layer that maybe there's like some kind of military bases or something, or some kind of fortress that kind of protects that upper level. And we can even have it connect to, let's say, let's not use that one. We'll curve it in a little bit more. Okay, this looks okay. Let's do one more right here like this. There we go. And always when you're lining up your cliffs, be mindful of the line work. So when I place mine, I'm always looking at the line work to see where the cliffs connect. So there's not kind of inconsistency in the line work flow. So always think about that line work, and especially with this style, because Watercolor Cities has very exaggerated, dark, thick lines. And so the lines are ever present, and therefore you should be mindful of the line work on those stamps and the continuity with other stamps. So it's super important. That's definitely a pro tip in my mind. Okay, I'm just gonna check tune. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh, there we go. Oh, I like this. This is beautiful. All right, I'm taking a look. Cheryl's suggestion. Okay, great suggestion. Thank you. Okay, right. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl, for the suggestion. I appreciate it. I'm at 89 changes. Just for fun, I'm going to save. Gulp down some booch. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. All right, let's take a look out and see the overall composition. The island is here. The small islands are here. We have basically the waterfalls here. And we also want to continue adding on the cliffs along the river's edge. And then maybe even put some cliffs along here. So this is the part that's slightly time consuming. It's kind of putting together all these cliffs. It does take a lot of work, absolutely. Let's go ahead and check and see if there's any composites that might make our lives easier. Okay, I'm not so sure if I see any snow composites. Let's expand all. There we go. Looks like all the composites they have are not snow ones, but these are big. Let me take a look at them real quick and see how they look. Yes, these are much larger. So let's go with these ones so that we do less work instead of piecing 50 million of them together. Let's just make sure this is below like this. And we might want to create a section that maybe is like a shore, like right here. Maybe there's a part right here where you can go out. There's a shoreline there. We can look at that. Let's just keep adding more. Actually, let's take a look at our options. There's quite a few. We might have to curve that a little bit. Let's go here. Go here. And we're just going to piece these together to kind of create the landscape at the bottom. Let's go along with some pieces here, and we're going to create a really intricate kind of landscape by using a series of cliffs and hills to kind of create this sense of depth, and we'll go over how to do that. Let's first just find the right pieces that kind of curve around here, or just minus and subtract whatever you don't want. Just take a look here. This one looks okay. Just want to create a section like maybe this is a shore, like if you fall off the waterfall you can go over here or something like that onto shore. The rest is kind of cliffs, so you're not going to be going anywhere. Okay, let's put this one here. I'm just going to do and delete this one. Oops. That's the problem with lag. Put stuff down when you don't want it to. Okay, and we also want to create the ledge right here. So the other part is there should be some ledge right here, like a cliff face. I'm not going to use these same snow ones. I think we should continue using these snowy cliffs, and we can put them at 100%. And we're going to string them all the way across to the end of the screen. So let's just go ahead and piece these together. This, the second when I put them all together. All right, and I'm going to just copy and paste this whole thing, and just go bring it across the other side like this. And if I want, I can just rotate and change them around, so that way I don't have to redo it. This is something I always like to do, is just working with a palette. Instead of adding in new stamps, just grab the same ones, copy, paste, change them up a little bit, and then boom, done. So much easier than trying to place everything by hand. Okay, so now we have a definitive cliff point. This is higher up here. This is all lower, farther down, and we'll be using shadowing and texturing and coloring to make that clear. And I absolutely love working with depth. It's a lot of fun. I'm just going to string chat. Things a group. What was the thing about making groups? Oh, like are groups. Did that question get answered? Oh, yes, it did by Cheryl. Excellent. Cool. Just want to make sure. Okay, let's take a look. Let's continue on our down here. So I'm just going to piece some here together like this. I'm just going to create kind of an interesting, a landscape here. Pardon me. Like this. And then I'm going to check as well to see if there's some smaller composite cliffs that we could use, because there's no edge for it, and that's a problem. So I might have to just cover that up with something else or continue them on elsewhere. Let's go back to winter. Okay, there we go. All right. And then I'm just going to add in some last stamps here, here. And then up here, we'll have to think about what to put up here. Let's go to that checklist. And we're just going to make it real small. Just put it over here for now. Delete this. And we're going to think about the landscape up here. Don't forget, we're just taking cliffs. I'm going to make them just a little bit smaller. And it could be smaller cliffs instead of really large ones. So we could look at the cliff options and maybe just use these smaller ones. Having some cliff diversity is nice. Let's just pick the largest one so that I can kind of quickly go through it, put it together. And you don't want your entire ledge to be cliff. If you want, you can have some shoreline. I'm gonna do cliffs entirely for this one because I want some height so that I have some bridges to go across this. And I don't want to use all the exact same stamp because it looks weird, but you can just use those longer pieces so that way it doesn't take as long. Together, and again, just copy and paste all these pieces like this, copy, and just rotate it like this, boom, and there's your other part done. And if you don't like that it looks somewhat like the other one, just rotate it, just switch those pieces around. That's all you got to do. Like, you don't like that here, move it to here. You want to add this, bump it over to here, whatever you want, that's up to you. And we're going to also fill in the space that we didn't get, so we'll fill in this. Okay. And I'll quickly show you what I mean by making the FG and the BG similar. If I was to go into the texture catalog, and I'm just going to turn off custom assets, switch over to Watercolor Cities. I believe there should be some snow textures. Here we go. So let's just say that I wanted to immediately pick a texture for the FG layer. I want to go with this white color. For me, it's just, well, we can keep it. That's fine. We'll keep it here for now. But it does make it look so similar to each other, at least in my opinion. But for now, we'll go ahead and put it in there. At least we have some snowy feeling to it. I like that. 58 changes, so make some saves. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. No questions, things are good so far. Don't forget, this is recorded and it will be on YouTube on Thursday of this week. So that way, if you want to go back over it, you can. All right, so far this looks pretty good. I'm liking the general idea of it so far. I kind of missed a spot right there. So far, so good. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can do to make things blend and match in better. So we'll make sure to go over that using both filters and textures for blending. Let's go ahead and address the waterfalls. And I'm just going to select every single one of them, select from the entire set. And if we want, we can change it to luminosity, and that will change that blend mode to be the same, cause the stamp to be the same color or overall texture as the texture beneath it. That's what luminosity does. So if you zoom in carefully, you'll see that it kind of picks up some of the artifacts underneath. You can even see the white line there. Go back, we'll select them all, and we want them to fit better with this texture. So the way to do that is maybe increase the brightness if we want to, like that. And that will kind of make it, and we'll have to obviously do some texturing to blend this in better as well, and we'll get to that. Just want to make things kind of better. I like that, I like that, looks good. And I think, oops, we need to fill in the parts that I missed. So we need to put the add mode here. Let's just make sure that there's other spots that I didn't miss. Fill all this in. That looks good. Okay. And I'm going to also do subtract. And I want to kind of give this a little bit more character. So we're going to make some more natural shapes here. Curves in like this. And we'll go over mask effects shortly. Okay, looks fine. Let's go over to this side. And we'll even do the same thing here. Make this a little better. And feel free to ask any questions or suggestions. Cheryl certainly did, and I'm thankful for that. Because I'm not the know-it-all. I'm not an incarnate wizard. I'm just making maps like the rest of y'all. I just have a lot of experience with the tool, and I'm absolutely glad to share that experience with you. Because making maps is freaking addicting, as I'm sure all of you are already aware. Okay. Let's go ahead and, for now, make the checklist at -0 for opacity. And that way it's out of the way, but it's still there. 11 changes. So far, so good. This is up high. This is down low. And we want to continue with the landscape. Where are we at for time here? Yeah, about an hour to take the landscape. That's about what I expected. Let's go ahead and continue working on finish up the landscape. I'm going to create the same thing, use these same stamps. I'm going to set them to 100 because it's higher up and it will take up more room. So let's just go ahead and create like a large cliff, and then right here is that riverbank, And I'm using large ones again, just so we don't have to piece together a whole bunch to kind of cut down on the time, because landscape does take a lot of freaking time. It truly does. It's just the way it is. You want really good landscape, take the time to do it. That's just the trick. There is no shortcut. All you can do is just to train yourself to learn shortcut keys and how to speed up that process. So instead of taking 5 hours, it only takes like 2, 3, 4, something like that. That is basically what the goal is, in my opinion, is just to speed up your process. No magical shortcuts. Okay, 20 changes. I'm going to save real quick and take off my sweatshirt. It's a bit warm. All right, it's coming together. Awesome. I was excited about this all weekend to make this particular map because a frozen waterfall is just so cool. You are the end. Incarnate Gandalf. You shall not pass. Okay, let's see. All right, so far so good. Let's also add in some small, maybe some snowy islands or something. So if I take this same stamp and then we'll go in and we'll make some smaller stuff. So I'm going to take these curved pieces like this, and I'm going to try to make some small, like little platforms, some hills, some kind of knoll of some kind, a frozen knoll maybe. Whoa, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Okay, let's put in one more. This large one will work just fine. I do this too with Fantasy Regional. What is happening here? Does that look like bug? I'm glad I could share that with you. Okay, I'm going to select all these. Don't want that, and I don't want to select that either. My bad. What am I selecting? There it is. Yeah? I'm sorry? Did someone say something? Ah, oopsie. That's okay. It happens. Okay. So I'm just going to take these smaller ones and kind of create some interesting like little shapes right here. And I like to line them up into certain areas, like right up against here. There's this kind of circular spot. You can put it there, put it in here on the edge over here, copy, paste it, put one over here maybe in the corner, put another one down right here, and then we can edit it and kind of play around with the stamps and make kind of a larger one. This is what I do all the time. It's really fun to come up with different shapes and just work with the stamps that are already on the canvas instead of trying to piece together 20 more. So it's just extremely helpful, at least to me. Okay, this shape looks a little bit different from the other one. Yeah, kind of a sharp edge there, and that's okay. Maybe we can put that against here like this. Okay, up against here. Let me take a look. I don't want them all to be the same size. Let's maybe make one a little bit bigger. And it's okay to scale up a little bit. My suggestion is don't scale up super large. Okay, that one. And this one can be just really much smaller. Put that up against here. There we go. These two are parallel to each other, and I don't really care for that, so let's not do that. Let's just scale this one down and put it over here on the side. There we go. I don't want these two to be exactly parallel because then it looks like a little more symmetrical, and I want asymmetry because that's what you find in nature, at least what the eye can see. Clearly there's plenty of symmetry on, the molecular level, but what your eye can see is there's a lot of asymmetry, and that gives it that natural look, at least in my opinion. Okay, let's take a look. Main cliff is set. These things are done, and I think this is pretty much almost done for landscape minus trees. I'm going to add that stuff in last for filler. Let's just do the next thing in the step, which should be the main POI. So like a castle, a fortress, a power source, a ruin, whatever it is that you want to be like the centerpiece of your city. And I've said this before, that central POI is that place where the eye can rest and go to. So while the eye is traveling around the map, looking at everything, it's going to want to rest. That's just the way the eye works. It gets lost in everything, it looks at everything, and then it wants to rest somewhere. And that central POI is that place, for me, at least for me, where the eye gets to rest and be like, ooh, I like this central piece. So When you add that central piece on there, make sure to make it stand out. Add light sources, shadowing, contrast, ambient occlusion, different colors, whatever it is that separates that central POI from the other points of interest. Okay, I'm going to go into the catalog and we're going to go ahead and look at our winter options and see what might look good for a center POI. And I will try to also add in these icy rocks too. I think these might look good, like on the cliff ledge like this, hanging out like this. That might look kind of interesting. In fact, let's just do that now, just for fun, just to put it in there, just to see what it looks like. Put one there. I'll put it on top. Just make sure, and again, line up the line work. So see how I'm piecing the line work together so it looks good. Put that one on there. We'll flip and we'll rotate. Let's put another one maybe right here. Again, make sure that it lines up with the line work. Let's put another one right on this side. Ooh, there's a nice big one. One right here probably will look good. And let's take a look. Oh, I thought I saw some kind of thicker ones like this, so this looks kind of nice. So let's put those somewhere. Maybe. Oh, to make it look like they crashed or something and then turn into ice? Is that what you're thinking, Cheryl? Okay, we can do that too. Let's just put one down there and just see how it looks. It might work better than that foam. So let's just see. I want to make sure that it's a layer below. There we go. And we might have to use the luminosity blend mode to just kind of blend it in, and then we'll change that brightness quite a bit. That looks okay to me. Let's also drop the contrast. Bring the brightness up more. I think that looks pretty good. I like that idea. And these other ones can be a darker blue, so that they'll look a little bit different. So I think we'll just keep both, unless you guys think that we should only have them at the bottom of the waterfall, because I'm okay with that too. Okay. Let's put one here. These longer ones are nice. It's here, and maybe not having them span the whole thing might be good. So maybe just a couple of them are like that and some aren't, I guess. We'll just see what looks good and what doesn't. Rotate it, line it up. Yeah, that looks okay. Let me just zoom out and just take a look. Yeah, good call, Cheryl. I like it. Okay, and we could even put some interesting stuff at the bottom too, like maybe a bunch of broken ice shards or something like that, or maybe some cracked ground. This ice texture here is probably not going to be the final texture for the BG. Probably. We'll probably do in a lot of different stuff to change it up. We'll just see how that goes. If everyone's okay with this, and I'll just make that official, bring down the size maybe too. Which one, Clean Clown, do you recommend? These ones right here, at where the waterfall is? Is that your suggestion? Let me know, because I can bring them down. Okay, I can do that. Just select them, and we'll take them down to, let's just say 75. I think that's pretty good. All right, and I think one other thing that we could possibly do is also have some that are jetting out above it. So like I could have another one that's on top like this, overlapping like this, and then we can even drop the brightness of this one so it looks like there's one above and below. First, let's just add on a couple and just first see how it looks, just to verify. One on top up here like this maybe. Oh man, what the poop. Don't do that to me, you stupid poopy bug. Okay, let's see here. Oh my god, seriously? Come on. Yeah, life. Okay, and then put one way up top too, and see if we can get it to overlap that one. Someone might want to mute their mic. Ooh. Oh, thank you for muting. Let's bring the brightness down just a little bit. That might be too much. Let me just see what they look like against the wider ones. Yep, that looks fine. And then we'll put these also as well, kind of overhanging. put one up top here and maybe one right here like this. Okay, and we'll go more into texturing and stuff to make those blend in better. But for right now, I think that looks pretty good. We're obviously going to want to add some stuff at the bottom here. You'll see this line work right here. It creates a really hard edge against the texture. So adding a bunch of like debris and fallen snow, drifts, broken ice, stuff like this, that will help the transition between this hard line and this ice texture, which we might change. I'm not sure yet. We'll just see how it goes. I'm listening to people in the chat for suggestions because I don't mind taking suggestions because, again, not the master of mapping. Just a lowly gray wizard, not a white one. Okay, just a gray wizard. All right. Don't put me in there in the Saruman category. All right. Gandalf's way cooler, and way more of a badass. Way more. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with that part, and we'll move on to the next part, which is putting in that central POI, which is what I was supposed to do and got lost in trying to make the waterfall beautiful. That's what happens when you go through the catalog for more than 30 seconds. You're like, ooh, pretty shiny thing. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, oh crap, I should probably go back to doing that. Yeah. All right, so there's a lot of big stuff right here, like this massive stadium, and I don't want that to be kind of a central piece. Those are huge anyway, but maybe we can use like some of these guilds are really pretty. I want something that looks nice. I like this big artisan guild. Maybe we can put something inside of that circle part. Let's just also see how big it is. Ooh, we might want to make it just a tad bit bigger. And we're going to think about where we want to put it, like maybe against this ledge right here. And I'm going to worry about the shadows and stuff about that later. I also want to pay attention to where the staircases are on your stamp. So you see there's a staircase right here. Obviously you don't want to rotate it this way unless it connects to it and goes over the ledge. But for me, this shouldn't be that way, obviously, but I'm going to put it this way. So it kind of fits into this section right here, and there's a staircase there. I'm going to turn off the object shadow for now. The shadow, we'll get to that later, or we can set the shadow dimensions now, and which all stamps will be at, so we can do that. Let's do that now, actually. Let's go to Object Shadow, and you're just going to click Customize Object Shadow, and I'm going to consider bringing it down this way so that it looks like it's got height going on the other side. So already that darkness already makes it look like it's popping up, and if you want it to be a little bit darker, just increase that, and it still has a little bit of shadow on the edge. Let's just maybe bring the shadow size down. Let me just take a look. When I brought the shadow size down, it made it a little too dark, so we can bring that back down. And I think that looks good so far. We'll do the same shading along these as well as this one. So if we want, what we can do is just select these stamps right here and then select this one. And if you select a bunch of stamps and then select that don't have a shadow and then select a stamp that does in that group of selections, you go over to Shadow, Object, and just change one little setting, and it will do the same setting as that other stamp that had the object shadow. And since it's a bit different, we're going to bring it up like this. What I don't want is the shadow to show up on the inside. You'll notice that you can see the shadow on the inside, or let's say the inside of the cliff. You don't want that. Instead, you want to change it. Oopsie, let's undo that. I did not mean to select that one. Just these ones. Okay. Oopsie, there should be some shadow on them. What happened to that? Here we go. Object. There we go. My mistake. You just don't want that shadow to be showing up on the other side, because then it will look like there's some depth behind that, and you don't want that. You want to push it out enough to where the shadows cannot be seen on the inside, only on the outside. So if you have a stamp that has it on the inside, make sure that you go in and change the horizontal a little bit. And if it's too dark, make sure you change the shadow brightness. So just go in like this and just drop it down just a little bit if it's too dark for you. Okay, and you don't have to make it black. You can even make it like blue if you wanted to. There's already so much blue, so I'm probably not going to do that. There's already so much blue in all these stamps. So already we're kind of putting in some shadows to kind of show depth. I think this is at 130. Let's bring it down to 110. I don't want to go too far off scale. So this is that main POI. We're going to put something special in the center there, a statue, and we'll put in maybe some balconies and some fun things peering out across the waterfall so that way you have a nice view. Getting distracted is my whole life. Yeah, I totally understand. Ooh, that's a pretty stamp. What was I doing? I totally relate to this. I totally relate to this. I'm easily distracted by shiny, pretty things. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty. Okay, and I'm gonna actually try to make it look like this is a whole complex of things. So let's try adding in a big fighters guild as well. And I want to try to maybe connect these things. Let's see here. Does that look good? No. Let's try out another one. If you have suggestions for what stamp to use, let me know. Maybe I'll scroll a little slower for your eyes to kind of see what's up. You're like, wait a minute, you're moving so fast that it doesn't matter. I think Big Mages Guild looks kind of interesting. I like the shape. Oh yeah, this looks cool. And it fits kind of nice right there, I think. So that kind of a nice fit right there. It looks good. And you already see that problem with that object shadow. The shadow is huge, so bring it down quite a bit. And I don't mind it just going down a little bit like this. And I see a problem. This is water, and the shadow there is making it look like the water is up. So we might have to place something on top of that. That might have been an issue maybe with the art, but that shadow shouldn't be there. That's probably not a good idea. So maybe I can talk to the artist about that. There we go. Shadow is going down. What we're going to do is probably change some of these cliffs to be a little bit darker on this side, of course, because that's where the shadow is going to be. Let's look at my time. I think we're doing okay so far. Yep, big fortifications. Yep, I agree, King Clown. Yep, we should probably do that. And there should be some fortified stuff. And I got to be moving quick because it is already an hour, and my streams have been taking quite a while. Oopsie, my bad. Let's go ahead and use these fortifications right here, a snow wall. We're going to make it out of stone because already you kind of see kind of that same design in the art. So let's go ahead and just take this and put it across like this. And there you have some fortification right there. So we're going to put this across like this, a fortification there. And make sure that it's a layer. Let's go a layer above, and then these two can also go a layer up. There we go. And now you have that. And we're going to put these walls, let's put in another piece, and then we'll put walls connecting that as well. Thank you, by the way, King Clown, for the suggestion. Yes, cities do take forever. That's why I'm not making a massive one. Whenever I make cities in a stream, I just try to tell you the steps, at least the steps that I use. Obviously, there's many, many methods to make a city, but I have a method that I absolutely love sharing with people, and it's okay if people don't take it. I don't take it personal. I'm also going to add in some more, maybe double up the walls, add in another piece like right here, or just go over it. Actually, I kind of like this piece more. There's crenellations on it. If you don't know what a crenellation is, that's going to be this thing right here. That thing is a, whoa, that doesn't help. That right there is a crenellation. So if you understand what that is, it's basically a stone piece that juts up on the wall right in front of the wall walk, and it allows archers and defenders to hide behind, or take cover behind, things like that. That is what a crenellation is for. I'll be doing another castle stream because I feel the last one I did was just utter garbage. So I don't think I did a good job in it. So we'll redo that castle stream so it's not poop. Okay, now I'm going to select this stamp because I want to stay on layer 2. Let's go back into that catalog. Yes, cities take forever. These fortifications look good. Let's add in some of these. Let's go with circular. Let's put one right here. So this is a nice tower that's placed right here. And I'm looking at the defenses. So if the way to go up, let's take a look at the defense part here. Let's say rock stairwell here. Let's put a rock stairwell. Let's do some flow of traffic so that I can kind of figure out where the rest of the things should go. Let's add in a rock staircase, or you can add in a natural staircase. Depends. Let's see if we have, yeah, we do. Perfect. This will do just great. So we're going to create like a kind of a small, thin staircase that goes down. This is the way to get up, and I'm going to put some fortifications there so that your attackers are going to be like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Forget that. No, no, no. I'm not doing that. Forget it. So we'll put one here and another one right here. So this is going to be basically kind of your, what's called a barbican. And a barbican is basically an additional gatehouse. In the later years in feudalism, they became obsolete due to technology changes and warfare. But I do like barbicans. I think they're really interesting and they're fun to make. So we'll put a barbican or a gatehouse right here. And we'll use one of these kind of pieces right here. I'm going to go down a layer. There we go. Let me just make sure the crenellations are facing the right way. Okay, that looks good. So this is kind of your way in right here. So that's that first step to go up to get in. And let's also put our bridge, and then we can think about what's called the main causeway. And the main causeway is the main road leading up to where the castle and the fortifications are at. It's called a causeway. Oh, so symmetrical? Yeah, sure. You can do that. You can just do it like this or move it around, flip it, whatever the options are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me how it goes about. We'll just do this if you feel that's better. Oh, actually, there's some symmetry in the snow stuff. So let's just change it to like that. There we go. Fine by me. We can change it as we go. Let's add in our bridge. So that bridge is going to connect to the main shoreline, to the land part going to the island. So let's take a look at our bridge options. Got some snow tracks here. That's cool. I'm not sure if there is a bridge in this one. I think there is. Let me go up and see if I can find one. There it is. Perfect. So let's go ahead and put in a bridge. I'm going to set it to 100 so it's not 110. There should be a clipping mask on this. Now, if you don't know what a clipping mask is, all it is just a invisible piece that you can't see that picks up the FG layer. So if I click this clipping mask like this, it'll turn off. Okay, it's extremely useful for making your road be the same, being the same texture. And maybe straight might not be a good idea too. Maybe we want to like connect it like this if we wanted to. We could do that too if you don't want it to be straight. Honestly, I think that might look a little better because I don't want these to be completely parallel to the waterfall. I think it might be more interesting and more character if I just build it kind of like this going across. And it can even connect maybe with this thing right here, like this. So the way to get on it is to go on top of this thing. So just another layer of defense, because elevation is what a lot of people, or at least in medieval times, use elevation to protect their keep, castle, whatever it might be. So elevation is a natural defense. So we can even put another staircase going up to here. So the general idea is you go up to here, go across the bridge. There'll be a road going, a main causeway going up, 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 up to here. Let me just make a quick path so you can kind of see where the main causeway. Let's go with pink because pink is rocking. You just can't go wrong with pink. And we're going to have it go like this. It's going to go up, 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 boom, to this right here, and obviously into here. So that's kind of the general idea. I'm just going to select both these paths, make sure that they're all selected. Oopsie. I might have to save here and refresh because things are looking weird. Let me get that nice and big so you can kind of see it. So this is kind of be what's called, again, the main causeway. And again, that leads from the city entrance all the way to Castle Keep. All right, no questions in chat. Things are doing okay. You get the idea of the paths. So we'll do that. Let's go ahead and actually put in a kind of our road system. And I might go with, let's just check out our textures. I thought I saw some, is there some cobblestone right here? Snowy street. I think this might work good. Let's just select that one. Or what's this one right here? I saw another one that looked interesting. Frozen street with a little bit of brown in it. Oh, you know, patchy street. I haven't actually tried this texture before, so let's try it. First time for everything, right? So with whenever I put down my roads, obviously my softness is all the way up. I never go at 100% because that's the trick to blending is that the only time you really need to have a texture at 100% is when you're laying down your base textures, and then all other textures that go on top of that base texture, you drop the opacity and you bring the softness up or use edgy brush. Depends on how you like to blend. There are different styles. And you also bring that brush size down, and you want to use multiple strokes because that's just the way that blending works. Blending is not 100% a texture, throw it on, you're done. Blending is that thing where you add a couple strokes, looks good. You add a couple more strokes, it looks okay. You add a couple more strokes here and there, just like a painter would, right? With painting, you generally make blobs of what you want, and then you add in your lighting depending on the paint that you're using, acrylic, watercolor, whatever. It depends. Obviously, we're using incarnate, so paints don't apply, but it's the same concept in texturing. Let's go ahead and just see what the straight kind of looks like when I apply it. And let's also look at our advanced settings and go to size, because we don't want it to be huge. Look at the size of these stones. They're quite big. So let's drop it down maybe just a little bit. I think that looks okay. And let's just apply across the bridge. Make sure you're set to that FG layer. Press that 1 key. And let's just do 1 stroke across the bridge just to kind of see what it looks like. You know, and then we'll go, the road just goes straight to the keep for now. And we can change it as we see fit. But for now, we'll just put these together. Put one here like this. Okay, so that main causeway is set up, basically. And then from there, we can kind of create little tiny roads. This is the part where you get to start making your blocks. And remember that your main road is going to be should be distinguishable from your other smaller roads. So I always like to bring the brush size down of whatever texture I'm using for smaller roads, because that way it kind of puts emphasis on the main causeway so that you know that's the main causeway. And then these other ones are just kind of little tiny roads that kind of lead to other sections. So let's go like this. And here, go over here like this, put a road in here like this. I'm just kind of mad throwing it in there, not giving a lot of thought. I don't want to take too much time, but you personally will probably want to put some time into it, of course. But for now, I'm just going to put in this stuff, and then obviously try to add in a little bit more as well in the main causeway by just adding some kind of lines that kind of maybe look like a cart or whatever, like this. Let's go over to here like this. We can put some more town stuff over there, put a road that goes over to here, maybe it goes out this way and goes across here. And you can add more roads as you go, by the way, too. So it doesn't have to end there. For now, you just throw down your main parts of your road, and then you can add in more roads as you go. Okay, let's just make sure that these are all kind of connected. There we go. Okay, so we kind of have this block system already, and then so the reason why I put down roads first is because it's actually easier to make districts or blocks when you have a negative space to work with. So now that we've added the roads, it's kind of obvious where the blocks are at. It's that negative space where the road is not. And then from there, you can start adding in your blocks. And of course, there are different kinds of blocks. There's individual stamps, individual little tiny buildings, and then there's whole blocks. Okay, I like to use the irregular shape one. Let's check the name of it just so that you know. It looks like it's called, let's go to show titles. Let's see here, small cluster. I like to use these small cluster ones, and I'm going to drop the size down just a little bit. I don't want them to be too big. And remember, this is a really small city. It's not very big, so I'm just going to fill in the spots where I want to put them. And you just have to go and place them where they kind of fit in. So that looks okay there. There's a long piece here. Maybe we want to put that in right here. There's a nice kind of square piece. Maybe we can put it in right here. A longer piece. Let's just rotate it and put it over here. Let's see, that next one looks okay. Let's put it there. Kind of a big one. Let's just put it right here and have the road go in between it like this. And then I think we're almost running out of space. So this is the part where the smaller spaces, you just fill in with individual ones. Let's go ahead and select first every single one of these and change. So I'm selecting everything from this set. And what I want to do is just bring the blur down a little bit more. I think that looks a lot better. There we go. And we're going to go in and create individual smaller stamps that just fill in the smaller sections. And that is the way that I do blocks. I fill in as much as I can so it's less work. Individual small little pieces takes a long time. And then don't forget to, you can also add in some district stuff, so which I didn't do. So these are just kind of regular buildings. We also want to add in some interesting POIs. So let's look at the guilds, like an alchemist's guild. Make sure that we have an alchemist guild in there. And then we'll take a look at other kind of trade buildings. There's a brewery, carpentry, a herbalist in there. Let's bring it down one and put it right here. Okay, because you do want to put in some trades and some being like an inn and stuff like that. So there's an inn right here. And with all cities, you're going to want to think about what's called your infrastructure. And infrastructure includes things like food. It includes carpentry. It includes all the goods and services that are necessary for the citizenry or your lord to have the goods that they need to live a lavish lifestyle. So infrastructure is going to be blacksmiths, inns for people to sleep, merchant guilds, all those things. That's called your vital infrastructure that's a part of your city. So that's super important when you're thinking about your city. So let's make sure to put in this. I'm going to rotate this one a little bit. I don't want it to be, it seems like almost perfectly parallel to, it looks kind of weird. So let's maybe have these two facing each other. So you just walk right across the guild to go right over to the inn there and get some sleep. Unless you're biased against mages for some reason. Hey, you never know, right? Let's add in some smaller pieces. There's some longhouses here. Maybe these would look good in some spots. It's a nice longhouse here. Let's maybe put the longhouses down here at the bottom, maybe. Let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, have some longhouses at the bottom. Let's bring down that size. Let's go to 80. Let's put one against this ledge here. And it's just like built basically right into the rock. I'm going to say like that. And did I see another? Yeah, I think I saw some other longhouses. Let's put some other ones in there. And let's just put it right against here like this. And then don't forget to include, don't forget to include staircases that lead to each location. So whenever you add in buildings, always remember, think about that flow of traffic, okay? So we want a staircase to go in here somewhere to kind of connect this. Again, make sure you do that line work properly. So I'm going to flip this around like this. Let's just see here. A little off. And then maybe we can consider moving that stamp maybe. There we go, like this, to kind of hide that. There we go, staircase going down. Let me see how big the stairs are. They're huge. This is farther down, so actually I think I need to make smaller staircase. So let's drop this down. There we go. And I think it fits better with the line work too. There we go. So you have staircase going down to here, into here, and you can put another one going down even further if you want to. So we can put another one down here like this. Let's set it upright. Let's say, make it smaller and going down like that maybe, or maybe right here. Let's flip it and see if maybe that looks okay. Boy, it sure is hard figuring out what you like, right? Oops. Okay, let's go to transform, and I'm going to just change the width so it's a little bit thinner, so because I want it to fit in with that line work of here like that. So it's a pure straight staircase that goes down, 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 and there's no staircase going up maybe, because then that defeats the purpose of the fortification. Or you can add another gatehouse or barbican right here and have a staircase going up. Just know that, you know, it's not historically inaccurate to actually have multiple gatehouses that leads to a fortress. Some people get really picky and they're like, oh, there's only one main entrance. Actually, that's not true. Tons of fortified cities have multiple entrances, and I know the logic goes, well, then it's 2 points to defend. But that same logic applies to your attacker. Your attacker also has to split their forces in half, too, to also do an assault. So it's okay to have multiple entrances. Don't let people discourage you by saying, there's never 2 entrances, never, ever. Yes, there is. Absolutely. Go look at history. Go Go look at the castles and the fortified cities. Ton of them have staircases, have multiple entrances. Again, attackers also have to split their forces if they want to do a siege, and that doesn't work to their benefit either, just like the defender has to split their forces. And it's actually easier for them to split their forces because they have the advantage as the defender, especially with all these insane defenses that we're adding here. Your tall walls, barbicans, and things like that. You'd have to be nuts to assault this place without a massive force, and obviously we don't want to do any assaults on this place. It's nice, it's pretty. You don't want to attack this place. It's a frozen waterfall. Why would you want to do that? It's pretty. Yes, the Bob Ross incarnate. That never gets old, I swear. Okay, let's take a step back. Yep, looks good so far. Let me go ahead and do the save. We're at 153 changes. Naughty, naughty. Peeling the carrot here. I don't think we're going to finish this in another half hour. So if all of you are okay, this will probably go for at least another hour. And I apologize for the extended time. Let's take a look. Unfortunately, when it comes to Watercolor Cities, this style, everything is just so time consuming. And so I do want to put a staircase leading up to up here, and I think mostly attackers probably aren't going to be interested in trying to attack down here on this ice. It's slippery. It's just a terrible way to attack. Obviously, if you were an attacker, you'd probably scale the bridge, probably go across the bridge, and then probably go through the town. It'd be easier if you can hide behind buildings. Any kind of troops that you have can take and fortify a building. So we're going to want to make sure that we have strong defenses at the entrance of the city. And we'll just put a small little barbican. And this, you might want to consider this a postern gate, which means just a gate in the back of the castle. And it's like a quick escape for lords to kind of escape, and kind of maybe we can put a dock or an airship dock or some kind of sleigh or something down here so that royalty can kind of escape through the back. Again, postern gate. Let's put that in there. So let's add it in. I'm going to need a real long one, I think, or maybe connect two together. And I don't want it to be super wide. Let's make it difficult for attackers, because the wider the staircase is, the more troops you can fit on it. So it's always important to factor in that. It's always good to factor in that let's make a really small staircase, because if any attacker has the balls to come in and try to attack, they're going to be dealing with a very small single file staircase in which attackers are probably going to say, yeah, F that, I'm not doing it. That's crazy. Just forget it. I'm not doing that. And let's also make sure that the layers, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Kombucha makes you kind of burpy. So we have that kind of postern gate right here. And so, like, it's as simple as this. If nobles want to escape, they go out and they go down this staircase all the way down, descending down the waterfall part, and then they can go ahead and escape if they want to. So we have our postern gate, and then we can go and move on our next part. Let's take these same towers right here and just copy, rotate, and put them here. I'm going to make sure to line them up right. So one against this edge and one against this edge. And then we can also do the same thing. We're going to kind of create a gatehouse, copy, paste this long piece right here. We're going to go up a layer, and let's check for a longer piece like this. Okay, and then I'll have to bring these up a layer as well. One sec. Oopsie, didn't select it. Up. There we go. Okay. So you have a barbican or gatehouse here, and attackers will have to get across. It's kind of a wide bridge, so troops can kind of double wide, kind of go in. So if you want to, you can change the width of the bridge if you want to, if you're worried about that kind of defenses. I'm not worried about it. I don't mind. We've got a giant kind of gatehouse here. So attackers will probably have some difficulty trying to attack this. And then if you want to, you can even add another piece of defense here. So you can just copy and paste this whole thing if you want to. Copy, paste, and then just put it on top right here if you want. So it's just double the defenses if you'd like. So it's basically two barbicans on each side. So that way you could even trap people on the bridge. So if they were able to get past this, you could maybe have troops posted up here somewhere along this side, and they can go in and try to secure this section, close that gate, and then they're trapped, cut off from supplies, stuff like that. Still look great though. My party. Oh, I'm sorry, Panda Labs. That's no fun. Excuse me. I'm still a little icky. Excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and start doing some texturing. Whenever you get bored of something, like I've kind of worked on this and I'm kind of getting tired, and you feel like, this is getting drawn out, go work on something else. Because what happens to me often is maybe I'm getting bored with what I'm working on, and this kind of prompts you to not want to finish your map. Like you're like, I'll work on it later because I'm bored with what I'm doing. Well, the way to avoid that is just go work on something else on your map. That's usually what I suggest. So I'm just going to take all the waterfall stuff, and we're going to start working on maybe blending them better with the texture, adding some textures on there. Let's just see what we can work with. Let's make sure that I don't have anything accidentally selected that I don't want selected. Let me just press this button to make sure. Yep, some things are selected. That's selected, and this large piece is selected. Let's try again. Oops. Wow, fun stuff. There we go. Let's try it again. Ooh, one more right here. There we go. Okay, so now we have all those selected. We can think about how we want to go about it. We could change the opacity. Ice can be opaque. We could maybe drop the opacity, just see what it might look like. That looks okay with me. Let's also go with textures. I noticed that there's some line work right here, and that line work just doesn't match with the texture in the background that you have. So we'll have to think about something that's going to make that stance mesh in or match in with texturing. So we'll go through our texture options here and see what we have. There is this light snow alpha. There's also this rough snow right here. I kind of like this. There's also this snow detailed light as well. This might look good because it's snow. As it's snowing, everything's getting covered in snow, so this might work. Let's just go ahead and go to 40% softness all the way up, and let's just apply it to the background layer. That's that 2 key, and just see how it looks when we apply it. Oh, actually, don't forget to also go to size. Let's just look at the size. I think that looks okay. And let's just apply some to the bottom right here, and we'll just see how it looks. I'm gonna zoom in a little too big for my taste, so I'm gonna undo it. Because what I'm looking at is the line work and seeing how thick it is to the line work of the stamps around it. And we might want to also even consider dropping the contrast just a hair. There we go. All right, we'll bring it up to 62%. I want to see what it really looks like. There we go, up against here like this. So far, I actually am kind of okay with that. Let's bring the size down and just see, try to blend it in with the ice below, just to see what it looks like. And again, it's just multiple strokes like you're painting. That's the whole point of blending. And you can even use the negative space. So where the ice cracks is, so let's say I want to just fill in the snow inside of where this negative space is of that snow crack. Same thing, I want to do it again. Let's say I want to put it in this section right here. And what we're doing is kind of creating making it look more natural, because one texture by itself on the canvas, it looks flat and unrealistic. In real life, when you're looking at snow, when you're looking at your environment, there is just absolutely so much variety, so much going on. It's never nice and neat as you would kind of hoped it would be. It's not. That's just the way it goes. I'm going to fill these in, and this is just for now. I can change this up. We'll make sure to go over. We'll do other things, add in snow drifts, add in filters to kind of help everything to mash kind of together, so it doesn't look like it's just mashed up. It looks like it's smoothly put together. And I'm going to put these snow drifts all around the edge as well of these snow cliffs like this, all the way around like this. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, again, the line work within this drift, within this texture, kind of goes with the line work here. So it kind of breaks up that edge so it doesn't look all the same. Let's go ahead and check chat, see if people have any questions. White accents. Yep, I like that idea, Panda Labs. White accents make sense. You'd want to bring the brightness up quite a bit if you want to do that. It's hard to do white accents. Like, you could do maybe bump up the contrast and just drop the saturation to remove the blue. So you could do that. Let's just put it down once and just see what it looks like. Let's put some right here. Okay, and we can do both. Let's have some white and some brown, or have that blue. So what we'll do is we'll create this illusion of kind of depth by putting the gray snow beneath, and then put a white snow that's been removed of all saturation to kind of give it a little bit more depth to it. It'll look a lot nicer. Thank you, by the way, Panda Labs, for the suggestion. I appreciate that. Okay. Let's also consider that flow that we have right here. And there's several options to going about it. You can go with texture, or you can go with using maybe some track marks. Real quick, let's just try both things, both a texture and maybe using a stamp. So let's just take a look. I would have swore that I saw some track marks, and those might work as kind of a continuation. Let's just first take a look, go up. They're kind of white. No, they need to be dark. Let's go with, okay, let me select all of these. I'm not sure how I feel about that line work. Let me, on the waterfalls, let's go to filters, go to contrast, bring it all the way up. Bring the brightness down maybe. Let me take a look. And drop the opacity. I think I'm gonna have to do it with a texture. My mistake. So let's do that. I'm just gonna go with this kind of snow texture right here. I'm gonna rotate it like this. And I'm gonna be using it not what it's intended for. It's not necessarily snow. It's kind of just showing kind of the direction of the flow of the river, like where the flow it had before obviously it froze. So I'll be showing that. Let's just go over to size. As always, kind of have to resize. And I might change the contrast. I kind of want some of those lines to kind of pop out. Let's change that saturation, change the brightness, and then let's just apply one stroke on the BG and just see how it looks real quick, just to see. Yeah, the only problem is that, yeah, I think I might have to be just a little bit brighter. So let's just bring up the brightness. Whoa, that's might be a little too bright. Let's try this. I'm gonna go and put it all across just to see what it looks like. I think this is okay. This actually works all right. Obviously it doesn't blend too well with that line work there. So we're gonna do some changes to the waterfalls to make it look better. But I think this texture right here will kind of work okay to kind of represent the general kind of flow that the river was in. And I'm gonna wanna make sure I hide some of that cracked texture. I don't want that to be showing up, or at least not a whole lot. So we will change that as we go. Let's see here. Ooh, time is flying, my goodness. Okay. All right, let me take a step back, just see how that looks. Yep, that's better, but not fantastic. You can flatten the waterfall so you can blend it. Yep, that's true. Absolutely can do that. That is true. There's a lot of different options. The only problem I have with flattening is that, you know, you can make a lot of mistakes with flattening and then you have to redo it over again. So I always try to find a stamp solution first without flattening. And if I can't find one, then flattening is my go-to. It will be my last step. And that's just me personally. A lot of other people, flattening is the go-to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting that you not do that. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't mind if people do that. I personally try to avoid it as much as possible. I always prefer to go with a stamp solution. So that way I can edit it and change it as I see fit. That's generally the way that I go about that. So there are ways to go to fix things. There's always changing like the contrast of things to kind of remove the line work. There's always bringing up that brightness. You can change all kinds of things. You can change the blend mode. We can go in and just keep the original one. We can go check out a variety of blend modes. It all just depends on what you're looking for and how to go about it. If any of you see a blend mode that looks good, let me know. Honestly, I think that looks okay. We might want to consider dropping the saturation and maybe bumping up that contrast just a bit so that we can still kind of keep that line. Let's maybe even bring the brightness down or up. Let's bring it down. Let's take a look. There we go. And then I'm also going to take these same kind of crystals and we're going to go through the blend modes and just kind of see what looks good. And if everything should fail, that's okay. We can always go and do the flattening technique, which is a great technique. So if it doesn't work out here, that's okay. Me personally, I have preferences about flattening, and everyone does. So I mean, with flattening, obviously you can do way more realistic shadowing. I have before, though I've been working on some techniques to not flatten and just to kind of use paths instead. I think I did a campsite one where I used the path tool to create highlights. And I think I will maybe even do a tutorial on how to do that. Just go through the blend modes of these particular crystals or kind of things and see how they look. If they don't work out, that's okay. There are so many different options and ways to go about it. There's that hard light, and that looks a little bit better, I think. There's still some of that line work, and that cliff still seems like there's not a lot there. We might want to consider even using a waterfall from a different set. I don't normally recommend this, but sometimes you actually have to use different stamps. So I'll actually go over to search all styles and type in waterfall, and maybe we can overlay or overlap with some different waterfall stamps just to see how it looks. And I don't normally recommend blending stamps unless you have a way to make them fit together, because the line work for the watercolor style, thick lines, while Fantasy Battle Maps doesn't. Oh, Andraste, it was great having you here. Good luck in your work meeting. I hope that goes well. I always flatten at the end of my maps in case I mess up. Absolutely. I would definitely recommend flattening at the end. I agree. That's a good idea. Absolutely. Okay, so these are all the different ones for cities. I think there should be some regional ones. Let's just take a look. Oopsie, I didn't put waterfall. That would explain why I'm going through all these various stamps. Okay, so here are all the waterfall choices. Waste waterfall. Let's go with maybe this one right here. And let's make sure it's fully up like this. Okay, go down a layer. There we go. Change the contrast to see what we need. Okay, yeah, this is the tough part. I actually have never done a frozen waterfall, so this is kind of fun. A challenge. Yeah, that's not working either. I think maybe flattening might have to be the end goal. Maybe. Unfortunately, I actually don't want to do that, but I absolutely will. Let's just select all the waterfalls. Let's just go back. We'll do it again, and we'll make sure to blend everything in. And we'll probably even use the path tool. So I don't think this looks personally very good, unless we were adding maybe some shadowing that might make the depth. Let me quickly add a shadow real quick. I'm going to go with black, drop the opacity down, BG, and I'm just going to put some shadow underneath just to see how it looks, because it could just be a contrast issue. So we'll just verify that real quick by adding in a shadow right here at the bottom, as you would kind of expect. And then we'll take a look and see if that changed it. Because sometimes you just have to do something different to see. And so I'll add in some shadow here. A little dark at 32. I think it's mostly because I'm using a completely white, lots of white textures. Yeah, that's a little too bright, I think. Let's bring it down even more. Yeah, that's fine, like that. And then even add in a smaller brush. This. We're going to put in some ambient occlusion and see if maybe that helps. I don't know if it will or not, but we're going to find out. If it fails, we are going to flatten, baby. That is what's going to happen. And I don't mind flattening. It is a dang good technique. It does magic. Okay, I'm just going to go along these edges here. And I'm going to just take a step back and see if that helped at all. Yeah, it did a little bit. It didn't make it perfect, I don't think, but it's not too bad. Sometimes, again, sometimes it's just the contrast that's the problem. And maybe there's some other stamps that are in the wrong place. You know, I try not to get wedded to a design too much because, you know, sometimes the tool might not allow you to do it. So sometimes you just have to think out new solutions. I think ultimately the contrasting helped by adding in the shadow, but it doesn't mean that it will look perfect. So we might go back and flatten. Maybe we can save that for near the end. Let's just continue adding in that contrast, ambient occlusion. I think that really did help because it just looked so flat, and we don't want flat. Flat bad. Flat very bad. You don't want flat. Okay, there we go. We're adding in kind of some depth there. Again, and then we'll go in with a smaller brush. Just go all along that edge just to get in that ambient occlusion. Again, using contrast, that's going to be, you know, dark, light, and dark. There's so much snow that there's already quite a bit of light, so your darks are really going to pop out. So just kind of keep that in mind. You might have to drop the opacity of the texture you're using as a shadow. For me, it's just a black color. Okay, let me take a look. Yeah, so far so good. Let's keep adding it in here. Ooh, yeah, definitely not going to make it to the hour mark. Yikes! That's okay. And any of you can dip out if you need to. Everyone's got lives. I totally understand. Can't all be hanging out with me, watching me make some goofy mistakes. Okay, and then maybe even add in some shadow underneath these, as you would expect. And I might have to replace these because they look a little odd. Let's delete that one and then put one right here, another one right here. There is that thick kind of line work. Let me set it to luminosity. Oopsie, not that. Normal. Nope, that wasn't it either. What did I do? Which one did I pick? Oh, I did something wrong. So bad. There we go. That one. And I think I'm going to change this one to luminosity as well. Nope, let's just keep it at normal. It's fine. Changing up the color. I don't want to do that. Okay, take a step back. Yeah, so far we do have the overall ledge. I think that looks pretty good. It already helped. Looks very lumpy right now. It's lumpy. What's up with your lumpy waterfalls, huh? What is this, lumpagus? What is this? Stop with the lumps. Okay, let's go ahead and put some dark shadow all along this ledge because we want to show ultimately some real good height. So I'm going to go back in like this, go over, and really get in there and get in this kind of shadow. Get in there. There we go. This looks good. There we go. Yeah, a little bit better. A little bit better. We'll make tons of changes as we see fit. Okay, let's bring its size down and we'll do this again along this edge here. And just know that the more height that you have, the more ambient occlusion, the more shadow. If you want to show something is really high up, then you really got to get those contrasts in, that light and dark. You really have to get that if you want it to pop. So I've added in, you know, kind of a dark line on the inside, and then it kind of fades out. And that way it really looks like you have some height. That's the trick to height, is always adding in a little bit of contrast to your lumpy waterfalls. Okay, and I'm also gonna do in a kind of a thicker hard line in this on the edge. And this is gonna really kind of help to kind of give it a little bit more of the ambient occlusion. There we go. Get it nice and dark right here. I'm just gonna take a look. I think that looks all right. And don't forget to put it all along this edge. as well, all along here, even along your spike. There we go. And again, we're also just highlighting it, kind of making it look like there's some height there. Same thing, go all the way around. Okay. Lumpy waterfalls. It's like a song. I want to write a song called Lumpy Waterfalls. Be kind of fun. I don't know how it would go. All right. Let's take a look. Let's take a step back and just see how that did. Yeah, perfect. Really kind of created that pop, makes it pop out a little bit. Got that hard ambient occlusion on that edge to make it pop out. So I think we've accomplished some of that height. So that part looks good so far. And we can come back and address that later. I need to get moving if I want to finish this within a reasonable hour so you can get back to your babies and your school and your work and everything else. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to add any more to that for right now. I'm going to leave that be. There we go. And I'm okay with lumpy, though. I will admit I'm okay with lumpy, and, you know, you just got to go with it. I mean, the objective to me is to not, just a kind of a quick review when it comes, well, not a review, but kind of a heads up. When you're making a map, what happens is sometimes you might get so caught up in the realism of it that it kind of breaks it. You know, like a map is a representation of reality, not reality itself. If you want a real map, then take a photograph, satellite image, perfectly to scale, everything's right. That's you have it. But if you want to make a map with our tool, I recommend maybe trying to not focus so much on ultra realism, because that's not even what a map is. A map, at least a fantasy map, is a representation of reality, and it's actually easier if you don't over focus on the reality part, because then it kind of makes it not interesting and harder for you. You'll focus so much on this not looking real and not that looking real that you'll never get the map done. So just in my opinion, I try not to hyper focus on realism, and that's just a personal preference. Okay, you absolutely can be obsessed with, or no, I'm sorry, I'm being demeaning there. You can absolutely be interested in focusing on reality, and that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's perfectly normal if you want to have, you know, have some realism to it. I do focus on realism in my map, but I don't focus to the point where I'll never complete it. So it's always just kind of keep that bit in mind, that maps are a representation of reality and not reality itself. And so don't get caught up too much on hyper realism. And this is just my opinion. I try to focus more on applying the realism where it looks good, and then adding the fantasy element, which is not realistic at all. Clearly there's no magic fireballs and orcs and floating islands. Those don't fit to reality whatsoever, but you know, you have them in there anyway. All right, let's continue with the shadowing. I want to make sure that the island itself has some shadows, of course. So I'm going to put that ambient occlusion. And again, I just want to say I'm not knocking anybody who likes the realism. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Realism is fine if you want it. I'm not going to knock anybody for that. Absolutely not. Heck no. Oh, gotta go, Dread. Sorry, Dread. Take it easy, even though you've already left. Okay, put together homework packets. Good luck with all that stuff, Becca. Don't focus too much on realism, you say. Be me manually putting in snow textures on my stairs. That's all right, Panda Labs. It's whatever works for you. Like, it's a level. It just depends what level of detail you want. It's a personal preference. It's not a requirement. It's just whatever works for you. Some people like realism, like extreme realism, surrealism, and that's fine. It's all a matter of personal preference. There's no right or wrong, really, when it comes to the map making effort. In my mind, if you like it to be realistic, do it. That's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would never knock anyone for wanting to have a realistic waterfall or a realistic forest. You know, some level of realism is important because, you know, we live in reality, and it's easier for you with your human eye and the way that you see the world. And that's the same thing we're doing when we look at a map. We're looking for semblances of reality so that it's easier to take in what we're looking at. If it was completely foreign to us, we wouldn't know what the fudge we're looking at. So implementing some reality, of course, is absolutely important in your map. and it just depends on the level of detail you want to go with. Ooh, nice one, Panda. Yeah, I like this. You put lots of snow on the arches. Looks like you flatten stuff. Yeah, looks good. I like the level of detail. Good job, by the way. I like it. Looks really good. Okay, so where are we at? 10 changes, 11:50. I got 40 minutes to finish this. Whew. All right. Let's continue with the ambient occlusion. Add in more buildings on the main structure. Put in trees. And then we're going to add in decorations, more lighting, shadow, and then filters, because I'm going to use a filter to put snow on top of things so that I don't have to flatten everything. There are some filters that they're not labeled snow. There's like falling snow under texture, and there's some other filters that are like scratches and have some weird like artifacts in them. If you drop the contrast of that all the way to 0 so it's white, it just looks like falling snow right on top of your stamp. So for me, I don't really like to paint stamps with snow unless you're required to. Obviously, there's some fantasy regional stamps and some other regional and other stamps that don't have snow on them, and you don't want to use the snow version. Yeah, you're probably going to have to flatten, or something I've done in the past is using the path tool to put snow, and that way you can change the blend mode, and it's even editable. So if you don't like the snow there, you can just delete it instead of flattening it and then having to redo it. So path tool to put snow, and I'll even show you that in the tutorial so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, because the path tool is it is chef's kiss. It's not even really a path tool. It's something else. I don't know what it is. It's everything but the path tool, or everything and the path tool. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. But I will show that in this stream on how I use the path tool to make snow on stuff. Okay, let's quickly move on. Let's put in the other buildings that we want to put in. Watercolor Cities is where we're at. Let's delete the search field option. Go back to winter. I'm going to get rid of all the packs and just have the winter one, because I'm just trying to show off this pack. Let's go back up and just keep adding more structures to it. Let's add in maybe something fun like a statue in a courtyard. So you can put this right here. So this is like a statue in the courtyard, and then we'll put another building over here and a castle. So maybe a blacksmith. Let's think about the internal. Let's add the show titles. Let's think about the infrastructure for the castle area itself. A blacksmith is always a must, so let's put in a blacksmith. The king is going to need his smithy, or queen, or deity, or whoever is in control of this snowy place. Whatever works. Okay, so we've got a blacksmith, we got a palace kind of stuff going on here, a barbican leading down. Let's put two things down here. We could say that there is maybe some barracks here, so let's try putting in some barracks, and anything can work as a barrack, really. I don't know if we have barracks in here. You could even use a fighters guild if you want, like a smaller fighters guild. Let's see, do we have a small? There's a big fighters guild. You could put a fighters guild, pretend that it's a barrack. You can put it right here, like there, like that. So there's your barrack. This is where your troops go. So if they need to, they can quickly rush into the streets, mobilize, get to the gate. Obviously, there's going to be probably some troops stationed inside of these two towers right here that are the barbican. And we can also even put like a training field or something over here for the troops to either set up formation or do training. So let's look up a fence. If they have fencing, they might or might not have it. I don't know. Let's take a look. Do they have fences? It doesn't look like it. Well, that is okay. We can just go in and just type in fence. I don't know if there's any in the snow. It might be elsewhere. Let's take a look. I do not think we have snowy fences, just these regular ones, and that's okay. We're going to make a square formation. Let's just first just set it up like this without, and then we're going to copy paste, and then we'll rotate it so they're all rotated equally, so I'm not rotating each individual piece to fit right. So like, I think this should look good. We'll select the other pieces, rotate, and this is going to be kind of a training ground, kind of a spot where troops can go to shoot arrows, practice archery, practice sword play, anything like that. Let's go ahead and transform and change the height of this one so it's a little bit longer and connects. Oopsie, a little bit longer. Okay, we'll go there. And then we'll put another one. Let's change that back right here like this. Okay, and we can move these things as we see fit so they don't overlap, look ugly. There we go. So kind of like the main part, they could walk right into here or go to this. Maybe they want to man this thing right here, so we can put a little entrance there if we want. So training ground, barracks, and then all this upper level. And let's go and check chat. Any questions? Dude, hold up. How did you rotate in a group? It keeps their position, rotates them all in place. Okay, yeah, so let's just go over that real quick so you can kind of see it. Let's say I put two together like this. Okay, so I select all of them like this. And there, you're going to see a rotation. Oopsie. 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 Don't select that. Just these two. Note. All right. The question was Panda Labs. How did I do that? Okay, so you select all of these things. You'll see a yellow bar, a yellow circle here. If you click hold, you'll be able to select them all. Or you should be able to select the shift button. Oh, not shift. Which word is it? Let me see. I see. Okay, so the shortcut keys do not rotate the object as a whole. Now, if you do want to rotate them all as a whole with a shortcut key, group it first, and then hit that control key, and you'll be able to roll them all with your shortcut keys. So group if you want to rotate all of them as a group, ungroup, and just use that yellow circle. Okay, so that's pretty much it. All right, did that make sense, Panda Labs? I hope that helped. It's grouping, basically. Yeah. Oh, well, the group was probably selected then. You were inside the group, go outside of the group. So let me do this again real quick. So if I go to select group all, right, and then I click that control button, it should rotate them all. But if I go to edit group and then try it again, you'll notice the individual pieces rotate. So make sure it says leave, that you're not in the group. Once it's grouped and you're not in the group anymore, but you just have it selected, you should be able to rotate like a carousel. Whew, yeah, score. I helped somebody today. I feel good. I'm just gonna put a little check mark on my little brownie board over here. Yeah. Awesome. Sweet. All right. Yeah. Awesome. So there's that. We've done that. Infrastructure. Oh yeah, we didn't put in the small buildings. So let's quickly jump into that. Add in the small buildings. Okay. I'm just gonna close out the search field and just go to individual small buildings, right? And you're just gonna go in and just fill in the kind of spots where there's nothing there. So put one here, smaller one right there. Maybe put a row right here. Like this, put another one right here. You're just kind of filling in those negative spaces because it's nice to have, some room. Let's put another one right here. Keep going. Another one right here. If I can fit it in there, you can do it. You can do it. One here. You can even have some fun ones on the ledge over here, maybe. So people got some nice views here. Yeah, that's a nice view. Just walk out your front door and then boom, fall off the cliff. Yeah, that's what I like. First thing in the morning, I like a nice tumble. So nice. Okay. Yeah, I'll just line them on the ledge there so that people have a nice view there. Hope they've got insurance for that position, that one spot. I don't know what kind of insurance that is. Hopefully something good. Depends on their provider, I guess. Okay. Let's put some buildings along the ledge here too, along this cliff. Kind of take advantage of the space that we have. Let's put one here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, looking good. All right, yep. Okay, there's some room here for some smaller ones. Let's add that in. Put another one on the ledge right here. There we go. Let me take a step back. So far, so good. I see some negative space that can probably add more stuff to it. Let's put some there. And let's put it just kind of a rando one right there. And let's also put in just kind of a small random building in here. Maybe it's a servant's quarters or they live outside the wall down here somewhere. Or let's see here. If this is a gate going up, then maybe we should put in maybe a staircase underneath. Let's try that. Let's see here, a staircase right here, going right underneath like this. So this kind of leads up to the gatehouse part, like that. It's just to kind of show the continuation of the path because it kind of stops and you don't know where it goes from there. So this kind of helps that continuity just a little bit. There we go, step going up. Let me check this, stairs going up, all the way up to here. This looks okay to me. So far, so good. Let me check chat, see if there's any questions. Always rotate everything one by one, making walls such a pain in the butt. Oh, yeah, God, no, I totally understand. It's just do the group trick. Sorry you had to deal with that, Panda Labs. That's no fun. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. All right. Whew. And now we are at 12 o'clock my time, PDT, and we still have so much to do. Might even consider maybe doing a part 2 tomorrow. Maybe, I'm not so sure. We'll see. Let's continue with our ambient occlusion. Little adventure here. We're going to switch over to FG because we're going to do these ones. So remember, you're using white texture, so your black is going to be extra dark. So make sure you drop that opacity real low. And let's go ahead and put in the ambient occlusion. So I like to, again, just start with a big brush to kind of show the overall area of the shadow like this. And then go back over here, same thing, kind of get in this overall shadow. Get that in there. I'm going to do it to everything too so that I can kind of get it out of the way. Same thing with this one. Let's put in a little bit of shadow right here. And then let's also put one here. Okay, one right here. Let's go over here, and then all along here there has to be some ambient occlusion. So the objective is, again, to kind of show height. And let's put a smaller one on this edge right here. See, that's on the BG layer. I could just press 2 key, my mistake. Just press that 2 key. We do want to show some kind of height as well right here. And make sure that you don't go, oh, well, it's on a different layer, so it doesn't matter. But just along the edge, like this, there we go. And don't forget also along this edge, because you want these to look like they're popping out as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the FG layer 1 key, also do it along here, all along here, all along here. There we go. Let me just take a step back and just see how it looks first. We always want to take a little look. There we go. Yep, that adding the ambient occlusion is always helpful. In my opinion, always looks a little nicer. Let's just put a little bit back on the BG layer here and on here. Awesome. Oh, and just a reminder for those of you who just walked in, sometime, back to work. All right, see you, Musical Rogue. Sorry I missed you. Okay, bye-bye. Perfect. Practice, practice, practice. Absolutely. That's the only way. It's just to get better, just to keep going, keep trucking. That's just the way it is. There is no magic trick. If I could, I would use my map wizardry to poof, I'll make you map wizards as well. But unfortunately, it takes practice. All right, so now we're going to do that ambient occlusion, that hard edge. Make sure it's set to that FG layer 1 key. Let's just bring it up to 30. I just want to make sure that that ledge is pretty dark so you can kind of notice it. There we go. Nice hard edge. It's usually what I do, a nice larger area, and then go with a smaller one with a higher opacity. Let's just go up even higher. There we go. I want it to be dark enough to where it really looks like there's some ledge there. There we go. That'll work just fine. And then here too, nice hard edge. Oopsie, that's the wrong layer. I'll get back to that in a minute. Right there. Let me take a look. This edge as well. It just depends on how much detail you want. All I can say for sure is that ambient occlusion is an absolute must if you want to add some depth to it, because that's the only way. The cliffs by themselves just kind of look flat, and that's okay. You do have to do a little bit of work. You can use object shadows, layer shadows, or just paint it in, or use the path tool for your shadows, which I do often. And I'll make sure, again, to show you how I do the snow on top of buildings with paths so that you can kind of see that, because I do think that'd be kind of important for those of you who don't want to flatten all the time. Oh, and again, just a reference, it's okay if you want to flatten, nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's take a step back, take a look. Yep, definitely added more depth to it. I think that looks good. I'm gonna do some real fast filler stuff. I'm gonna fill in some trees and some bushes, and that will kind of fill in much of the map. So let's do that. Like if you don't know what to put in something, I always put trees, bushes and stuff, and that kind of fills in that negative space. You could put more city in here, like absolutely, but we just don't have enough time for that. For now, we'll just have the main part of the city just be right here on this island, and then obviously on the parts right here. Again, just to show you the techniques, we're not going to worry about making a full-on city. I will make this clonable so you can edit it, and if you want to expand the city, you want to just delete everything, you can keep it, whatever it is you want. I try to make sure that all my maps are available to everybody so that they can clone, edit, and use it for their own, with some minor exception. Okay, let's go ahead now and just put in some trees. I want to make sure it's set to the right layer. I'm going to place one down so that it shows up in the stamp options in here. And I'm also going to click this. This is at layer 0. This is at, whoa, what? And that is at layer, yikes. I love recording bugs. Yay. Okay. I'm just going to put a bunch of cliffs or a bunch of trees up here, and we'll have some descending kind of down like this. And we'll put in some bushes as well. So there's some trees there. Let's go over here and do the same thing. Just add in some trees. And we'll put them all along this ledge here, going along here, and I'll make a cluster of them right here like this. I'm just going to do single clicks because at 3K it kind of a little bit, so that's not good. Let's add in just, let's see here, all the trees along here would probably be cut. I don't recommend putting any trees. It's going to block the troops' view of the ledge right here, and blocking the view of the bridge. So only put trees in strategic locations. Most of the time, lords and other nobles would probably just usually would clear cut an entire forest that was in front of their castle or their keep, because you need perspective. You need a nice vantage point where you can see an army coming. So it was actually quite often that lords and nobles would deforest or completely clear cut an entire forest, not just for its resources and timber, but for a nice vantage point to keep track if there are troops coming down the main road. You can see them coming. So it was really, like I said, quite common that nobles would clear cut entire forests, just gone like that, just boom, no longer there. Okay, let's keep adding in some textures here. Let's add in some more detail and character to right here. We just have this flat white, and of course that's not what we want it to look like. We want to add in some other textures that are going to give it some character. We could use some of this snow patch alpha right here. I don't know how well that's going to look. Let's just apply it to the FG and just see how it looks at 100% real quick, because it's already white. It's white on white. Let's see here. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Let's go to filters. Let's go to size real quick. Let's boost up the size quite a bit. I'm just not a fan of that. That's just not going to work. Let's use this lighter snow one instead and just see how it looks when I apply it. That works a little better. Let's maybe boost the size though. Don't want it to be so big that the line work though looks weird. So you got to be careful. Let's just 100% just apply it onto the canvas for now. If it looks bad, we'll add in some snow drifts and some other things. It's just to kind of give some texture to things. We can change it out as we need to. Okay, I think that looks all right. Not my favorite, but for now it will have to do. We will get into more. Heck yeah, good one. Awesome. All right. See how we're doing. Ooh, people are leaving by the dozens. And that's okay. All right, let's take a step back. 191 changes. We're going in the right direction. I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next 20, 30 minutes by just quickly moving very quickly, adding in the staircase stuff that needs to remain for that small island where the bridge connects, and then also add in some other textures to make more transition between those hard edge cliffs and the ground, because they just look like hard lines, and we want to break that up. Textures is the way to go about that. Let me show you how to do that. So normally on like a snowy edge or a rocky cliff, you would expect a lot of things falling down, like rocks, snow, kind of collecting into piles. You expect this kind of a mess. So let's try to emulate that by trying to find maybe like some alpha that has some stone in it. Let's see, there's this small debris right here. This might work. There's also this gravel right here. This might work. Let's use small debris real quick. Let's look at some filters. Let's change the saturation. Let's change the brightness. I want to get it kind of bright. Bring down the contrast. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but we'll see. It's always an adventure trying to figure it out. Is it? Yeah, they're not blue. Unfortunately, it's kind of gray-black. I wonder if I could find a way to make them look a little more blue. Let's bring up, there we go, much better. Yellow, greenish. Where's that blue? Ah, there it is right there. Sweet. And then let's also change the brightness and drop the contrast just a bit. And we don't want to go at 100%. Let's just apply real quick and just see how it looks, because it sometimes doesn't look very good. Let's just add some debris here like this, and I'm actually okay with this. It's not the best. There's all kinds of rock texture, other textures that you can use, and I'm just putting them along the edge of the cliff because you would expect snow drifts and again stone and other things, because you have what's called erosion, and that you would expect that at the base of a cliff or a ledge. So make sure that you add some kind of alpha texture that makes it look like there's debris falling down. So you want to make sure to do that. And it also creates a nice transition between this hard line stamp and then the ground texture. So it doesn't look like it's just this hard line work. You want to create transition between what I call transition between the base texture, the texture beneath the stamps, and the stamp itself. So let's go ahead and add in that debris like this, and you can even add it in along this edge here once we switch over to BG, actually, my bad. This here, all along this ledge here. Let's switch over to the BG, and we want to put some of that in here as well. So let's put in some debris here, as you would expect. Some stuff collapsing. Let's put some in here. Excuse me. There we go. Along this ledge too. Okay, let's take a step back and see how the transitioning worked. Looked good to me. Let's also add in the last section of ambient inclusion on this river edge here. Let's go BG and just go with a dark color and go in here like this. We want to add one more little black line in here to kind of make it pop out even more. There we go. Let's take a step back and look at it. I think that looks okay. Yep, it looks like it pops out a little bit, so there's some depth there. 190, which save, please. Absolutely, I agree with you. Sorry that I missed that before I saved, but I absolutely agree with you. I get so nervous when I have like 1,000 changes, which will happen, especially if you're like making a forest or doing some texturing. You just immediately those changes begin to mount up, and it's like I should save immediately before my thing decides to die. And believe me, that's happened. I'm like, I don't want to do this again. So always kind of a pro tip. Remember to kind of just save around, I mean, for me personally, 100 odd changes, but you know, that's all personal preference. It really depends on how often you want to save, how good your machine is. If you got a really nice machine, then you probably won't run into a lot of problems. But if you have a lower end device, then yeah, it might, you know, break on you. So just make sure to save often. I'll save it 45 changes just to appease the save gods. Save gods, I have saved. Things are good now. 423 changes. Oh, and then it immediately crashed. Oh, balls. That's awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, you got through it though? Oh yeah, that's good. Good. I'm glad you went through it. You got through it. Ugh. So frustrating when you lose work. I immediately get kind of edgelord a little bit. Get a little upset. And it's okay to get upset when you lose work. That's perfectly okay in my mind. Like, why wouldn't you be upset? You put effort into it. If you're not upset, that'd be kind of weird, maybe. Let's also add some ambient occlusion to the bridge, because the bridge is on obviously a different is higher up. So let's go ahead and apply that ambient occlusion trick to the bridge, and even do it on the other side. Not too much, just a little bit, and then we'll go up to a higher amount, go to a really small brush size and do that edge like we've been doing. There we go. Let me bring it down to 5. That'll work good. Go along this ledge here. Let's go to 37. That might be a bit darker. There we go. We really want to make sure that bridge has height. Dear Lord, does it take a lot of freaking work to make a city. And this is just a small little baby city kind of thing. Oh, it's an itty bitty baby one. And it still takes 2+ hours. Good gracious. What is going on here? Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, that looks okay to me. Might even have it be even a little bit darker, so it really, really pops out. So let's just add an even darker one. There we go. I like that a little bit better. Because the darker it is, the more it's going to look like it has depth. Because again, the depth is using light and shadow, and that's just basically contrast. You want something to pop out, put a black line around it. That's pretty much it. See how that just, now that bridge really, really, really pops out. It looks like there's some height there. That's my trick, at least, for creating height, is to really, really go in there with the shadow work and really make sure that there's ambient occlusion around ledges, you know, and how much ambient occlusion you want to add is up to you. All just depends. I forgot to put one around this one as well. I'll make sure to do that. And I think it's okay to put in that this texture, because you would expect some cliffs to be kind of fallen down, right? You expect some fall along these cliffs, and it's not running water, so you would expect some debris had fallen off these cliffs from erosion, whether it's wind, rain, snow. Obviously not rain, but if it's so cold it never rains, so it's just snow. But you know, erosion happens, and you want to show that. At least I like to show erosion in my map. It makes it look more realistic. Okay, let's add in some here as well. Okay, and then even add some here. And I think, let's take a step back. Yep, so far so good. Unfortunately, I just don't have enough time to create the massive city that I would absolutely love to make for you all. Here is a big city, and I don't make a lot of them for obvious reasons. They are ridiculously time consuming. There's no doubt about it. All right, I'm going to put in some along here as well. So put that snow drift stuff in here. Let's go up to 100%. Put it in here like this. Put one here. You would expect kind of these ledges to, the top of these not to be kind of flat. You would expect some kind of texture going on. So I'll just put that on there for now. Let's also put some of that snow along this edge. Oopsie. Let's go back and change the opacity. So the next step obviously is to also show a transition on the top part and not just the bottom part. So we had the debris at the bottom of the cliff, and at the top of the cliff you can probably add in like this kind of snow texture here to kind of create more transition between the top of the cliff, because you would expect snow to kind of build up on the top and then it sloughs off with wind and just weight of the snow building up, of course, as you would expect. So I'm going to add that in here along these edges. It kind of just gives it a little bit nice transition all along here. I'm going to tell you right now, texturing is a big secret to making a good map. I'll tell you right now, practice, practice, practice with your texturing. Don't stop, because texturing is really kind of one of those things where I can tell you that even if you make like a mediocre map, which I'm prone to do, the texturing, master that and you can make almost any map look good. Tell you right now, doing the right texturing, it's no big secret, but lots of texturing. Do good job on the texturing and you got it, because that stuff's going to pop out. That's what makes it look realistic. That's what makes the landscape look real or unreal. So all those things. Density brush can cause memory fatigue. Absolutely, absolutely, it can create memory fatigue. I actually try to avoid the density brush, especially if I'm recording, if I'm using like OBS or doing a stream, or I'm editing in 4K or 3K. I usually never use the density brush, especially in the 3 and 4K editing. It's not so laggy in 2K, but I guess that really depends on your device, probably. Okay. Well, shoot, we are running short on the time, yo. So some things are going to have to change. Let me just put this here. Oopsie, and I think, I don't know what that's about, but we'll delete that. Yikes! Actually, no, let's put that back. And let's just put it to the right blend mode so that I have it right. Oopsie, not difference. Not overlay. Which one was it? I almost forgot. Well, this will do just fine. We'll put it there. And some things you can also do, that I do, is I'll use paths to even kind of continue on the line work of something else. I know that sounds kind of weird and it is time consuming, but it's actually quite helpful to do it. And I'll show you. Let me just change the brightness, change the thickness. Let me apply it real quick, see what it looks like. I want it to be really, really thin. And what I'm doing is making it to match the line work of these kind of crystals right here. So I'll bring the width down more, bring the opacity down more, take the shadow work, make sure it's all off, and we'll continue on maybe some of the line work. And what you're doing is kind of creating some extra kind of shapes, and you're kind of continuing on the line work to make it look a little bit more realistic. And so I do this a lot. It's actually really helpful, at least in my mind, to continue on what I'm doing is obviously using the texture, that directional snow drift texture, to also use as a guide. So I'm continuing the line work onward. So if I go like this, you'll see there's a line here. Just follow the line work through like this, and you can kind of create this interesting kind of shapes. You can have them branch out like this if you want, have them connect, whatever it is you want to do. Like this is a nice one right here. We'll create this line work here, continue this line work here. And this to me, this has always been kind of helpful. Just continuing on this line work, keep going. Okay, let's do here as well. Like this, there we go. Let's just take a step back and see how that looks. Yeah, that to me kind of created some more cracks. It kind of created some more depth. It put some emphasis on it, and it's a better transition between them. Using path tool for recoloring objects. Yes, Cheryl actually does that trick. I do it a lot too. I won't show it in this one, but it is similar to the concept that I'll show you here in just a minute. Let me save and just show you how I put snow on buildings. That's outside of flattening. And again, just a reference, nothing wrong with flattening. I'll just show you how I've put snow on some other buildings. We'll stay within the same style. And I'll go find some buildings that don't have snow on them, and then I'll put it on. And I'll show you how to do it. And the concept is the same, really, if you want to color. It's the exact same thing. So I'll show you that concept with snow, but and then I'll show you how to do it without too if you want. So let's just quickly go in the catalog. I'm going to pick a fairly large stamp. I'm going to color it. Let's just go turn winter off, and let's go just turn everything on. Real quick. Okay, there's everything. Let's go look at some stamps that don't have snow, and I will show you how to do it, because sometimes you don't want to use that building. There are other tricks too. You can change the luminosity as well. It won't have the snow drifts on it per se, but it will look interesting. So I'll show you that as well. Let's just go pick something. Let's see here. Let's go with, Give me a second. I'll find something that's interesting. Let's just pick a random building. A library. So there are a couple options if you want it to make it look like snow. One is that you can just change the blend mode. So if I go to luminosity like this, it kind of will have kind of a somewhat, at least a lighter color to it like this. So at least it's somewhat, I mean, it loses all of its color. So that's one way. And if you're okay with it, that's fine. That's up to you. You can add a filter like warm, cold, parchment, or whatever to give it color, or you can paint snow on it. Okay, and so the way to go about that is normal. You have it as it is. Let's go back to all the original settings. And obviously it needs to be at 100%. There we go. It's at layer 0. Paths are at layer 2. So I like to go over to white. You can have a blur, a white blur if you want. That's up to you. And let's change the line thickness. So let's say that I want to put some snow drifts maybe like along this ledge right here. Oopsie, let's set it up to full opacity too, just so you can see it for now. So let's, oops, not that size either. Let's go up, nice and big. There we go. Okay, so let's say I want to put some snow right here, just kind of going down like this. Okay, let's just say that you want to add some snow. So you have some snow like this, right? Let's go over like this, put some here, along this ledge. Let's say you want to have some snow kind of going up on top of here like this. Up to you. And it's the same thing. You would just cover the whole thing if you wanted to change the color, and then change the color in the blend mode. But let's just pretend that all this stuff is snow and doesn't look like something else that's inappropriate. Oops. Okay, so you have all this selected. Now you can do multiple things. You can change the blend mode so you can see some of the thing underneath. You can change the opacity. So if you want to see some of the building underneath, you can. Or you can go over to your blend mode and just apply, look for the right blend mode so that white stays on there, but also retains some of the line work. You can do that one. There's overlay as well if you want to do that. If you want to have some snow on it, you can also switch over to some other blend modes. Just take a look. There's the soft light, there's hard light, difference, exclusion. I mean, whichever one that you want to use, it's entirely up to you. So it's really a matter of an opinion, and you can change them and delete them as you see fit. I'm just going to go with this and just drop the opacity a little bit. And this is not very well put together, but you get the general idea. You can put snow. You can put snow on buildings with paths, though that might be time consuming. I admit that flattening might be a little bit quicker. I'm not so sure. Maybe. You still have to paint each thing individually, so it's probably about the same. But it's a way to avoid having to flatten. Just a suggestion. And then I'll also show you the painting the whole other color, unless Cheryl already nailed it. Yeah, here, let me show you real quick, Panda, on how to do that. This is actually a good trick, so let me show this as well. Cheryl might be a little better at it than I am. I'm going to pick something really, really simple in the catalog so that it's not complex. Maybe just a really simple circular building. And if you want to change its color, you can. So let's say that you have this barrel. I'm going to make it nice and big. Let's say that you want to change the roof of a building. You can totally do that. The way that I would go about it is make sure, let's check what layer this is at, layer 0. Let's go to the path tool. Let's go ahead and fill in, let's say that this was a roof, right? You go ahead and just fill in the entire roof like this. So let's say you have the whole thing colored. You want to change it to, let's say, red. You don't want it to be green, blue, whatever, right? You want to be a different color. So then let's just say that you want that. Then you go into your blend modes and you just pick the blend mode that you want to make sure that it fits well, because you want to keep the line work. So I kind of like that. So now you have this nice red kind of roof. So that's how you change your roofs. Use the path tool, change the blend mode, and then you have easy roofs or different color roofs or snow on top. So that's generally how I go about that. Cheryl will probably tell you the same thing. I think she did a pink dragon once. Cheryl, you should totally share your pink dragon if you're still here, show them, because I think you did that with the path tool, right, Cheryl? That entire pink dragon was with the path tool. Amazing. It was crazy. I keep hearing rough. Well, it's on a rough. You know, don't you know? It's a rough. You know what? There are people who make fun of me for saying rough instead of roof or whatever it is that I'm pronouncing it. But please call me out on it, because it's actually really funny when people do that. I love that. I'll probably just keep saying it wrong because just to be annoying. Just teasing you. All right, we're at 12:30. So I think I'll finish the rest of this or leave as is and people can change it. Let's quickly go through filters so I can show you some stuff. Let's go to add new filter right away. One of the first things I like to add is clarity. Right away I add clarity because it makes things pop out, makes them brighter. I immediately add that. It's set at 50%, I think, by default. I don't really like to go any higher than that because then it becomes too bright and kind of washed out. So kind of keeping it at the default 50 is nice. Then you can add in some more filters. There's a winter filter if you want to add in a winter filter to add more blue. You can also add in a ton of other stuff. Let's go with first look for some snow. All right, so there should be some snow. Let's make sure the snow is at 100% as well so you can see it. Boom, add in snow. I want to make sure that I can see this. Let me zoom in and see if I can see. I see a little bit right there, a little bit of snow right there. One thing you can do is you can just add a filter and add it again to make it pop out more if you don't see it the first time. So go in, add in snow again, and then bring that opacity all the way up. There you go. And now you'll really be able to see the snowfall now a little bit better, and just keep adding it if it's not enough. Keep adding more and more snow. So you want to just do it again. Just go ahead and add it again, snow once again, and really get that snow to pop out because it doesn't show up at all in the white parts. You can't see it as you would expect, but in the shadows and in the darker blue areas, you can really see that snow. We'll bring it up even more so you can really see it. Now I can really kind of see that snow. And then we'll add another filter where I said before you can put snow on top of things with just a simple filter. So let's try doing that. Let's go to texture filters. Click the plus button. It's going to create a new one. Go into the catalog, F key, and there should be some options. Let's just go to select all of them. Oh, right there, forest lighting. I think maybe that one. Let me click that and put that down. This is in the fade. Let me just put it down real quick and just see what it looks like. Let me apply 100%. There we go. Let me just take a look. So you can put snow on top of things. You can change it to repeat. And then you can change that blend mode too, so it doesn't look like everything's just completely covered. You're just going to go through your various blend modes to see what looks good. Multiply, color burn. It might take a few seconds to find the right one. Let's go with lighten. Oop, a little too much. Screen maybe. Let's try dropping down the opacity just a bit. Let's go up a little bit more. Let's take a look. Yeah, it kind of looks like fog, mist. Not necessarily snow, but I think it actually suits to the overall piece to it. You can bring the opacity down just a hair if you feel like it's overpowering, and it might be. Maybe we can just bring it down to 50 or so. There we go. And there's also a stretch, repeat. There are options that you can choose from. I think this looks okay, and then I might add in one more filter. Maybe add in winter just to see what it looks like. Yeah. Oh, I know. Look at that crazy pink dragon. It's beautiful. I love it. Ah, so cool. Okay, let's go ahead and add in winter just to add in more blue, just to see what it looks like. Let's go with 100%, just see what it looks like. Ooh, maybe a little too much, so let's bring it down. And you can even bring it all the way down to layer -5, where it won't affect this, the stamps at all. It'll only affect the FG and BG layer. So, kind of a tip there. If you don't want the stamps to be affected by a filter, then just you only want the FG and BG layers to be affected, drop it all the way to -5, and then that winter filter is only going to affect the textures, and it's not going to affect the actual stamps. If you do want them to affect the stamps, bring them up, obviously, to the layer that you want them to be. You'll see it when I go all the way up to 5. You'll see that the stamps are now affected by it, bringing in kind of that blue color. And then there are other things that you can do. If you want to put focus only on the center pieces, then you can also add in a vignette. I've done this multiple times. A vignette kind of works well if you want to put focus in the center. So let's just bring up, oopsie, that is the wrong texture. My bad. Go up to vignette. Wrong filter, sorry. Go to vignette, and I'm going to bring it all the way up to 100%, I think. There we go. And so what this kind of does is it puts focus on the central part. And so around about here is the central part, and that's this main structure right here. So it really makes that pop out. And then I think we need to quickly add in just a few staircases and stuff, and then we can call it good. I'm just going to copy and paste a bunch of stuff. Let's just put one entrance. Just put one staircase here, and I'm going to make it kind of small so it's kind of hard for troops to gather up and go up. And then also I've made it on this side because if the troops are marching towards this piece right here, if they're marching up to that piece, they're going to be on their right side. It's going to be facing towards this island. Now, a lot of people who built castles, keeps, fortified buildings, they kept track of whether a staircase, a stairwell, or a platform was facing in a certain direction, because most people were right-handed, and so they carried their weapon arm was on their right, and their shield arm, if they had the money to afford a shield, was on their left side. So that way, as they file up those steps, you can fire, maybe there's some cannons here or whatever, or arrows, and you can fire upon that filing group of troops that are going up that staircase, and they're going to be exposed because their shield is on their left side. They'd have to rotate around, walk up backwards if they wanted to defend themselves, at least be able to use their shields, right? So always kind of factor in the direction that your staircases and platforms, again, are in, because the shield hand is your left and the weapon hand is dominantly your right hand, okay? So just kind of factor that in. It's just a little bit of history. You don't have to, but I try to do that. Pro tips, yeah. I'm trying to give as many pro tips as possible. Okay, we'll quickly save here, and I think I'm done. I should add more stuff. It's already 37, so we'll call it good. I'll probably finish this off screen, and then I'll put it on my profile, and people can clone, edit, and do whatever the flip they want to do with it, because this is, in my mind, totally incomplete, and I would love to see what other people do with it. And it's nowhere near done. There's all kinds of shadow work that probably needs to come in here. A lot of the texturing that I did, a lot of the filters kind of blotched out the dark, so that's kind of a mistake. I kind of noticed that, so maybe I'll have to remove that texture. Always factor in, or that pet filter, factor in that your lighting and your shadowing might be affected by filter. So kind of keep that in mind. I'll come back in here probably and repaint in these shadows, or somehow diminish the filter so it doesn't look so eh. But that is it for me. I can stick around for just a few minutes. If people have any questions, I'll answer them in the chat. Feel free to talk if you want. Let me go ahead and turn off the recording